Hello and welcome back to Pact of the GM for our third episode now, on the way to 1 million episodes. We're almost there, I swear. This is a collection of unlovable misfits who have all sworn their souls to me, the GM. We were planning on having a special guest, Mr. Travis Willingham, with us tonight, but unfortunately we don't have enough internet clout to bring him into our little circle. You can change that. If you go away and, recommend this show to 3 of your friends and all of your family, then before long we will overtake Critical Role in popularity, I am sure. But hopefully he'll be with us next week. Before we begin, however, I always like to come back to my players and ask them to summarize for me what happened last week. It reminds you, it reminds me, it reminds them. So I believe this week we have Jared giving us a rundown on last week's events.
Right. So, last week, I believe the session started back in the tavern, kind of where we left off from getting in a bit of a scuffle, if I remember right. From then, we kind of just loitered around for a bit, deciding what we were going to do, until we decided to go and find Rolt, who was the guy that was last attacked by the gangs patrolling around... Oh my god, I forgot the name of the place.
Storia,
that's it. Following that, we arrived at Palmer's Provisions, the shop that is underneath Rolt's flat. We spoke to Palmer a bit, and he was very helpful, and was concerned about Rolt's well-being. From there, when we went to go and speak to Rolt, we discovered that he was a tabaxi, who looked very worse for wear and spoke like a bit of a ghoul. Whilst we were in that kind of area, Geronimo did notice there was a hooded figure that appeared to be following us around and kind of just chilling in one of the alleyways opposite Palmer's Provisions. Upon leaving Palmer's, we were confronted by a large, burly half-elf by the name of Reginald D. Martins. We found out that he was a bounty hunter that is after Geronimo, and oddly enough wanted to just come and double-check that he actually existed. Also, to make sure that, the contract was valid. From there, with some discussions and almost attacking Reginald, we set back out. Oh no, we didn't. We stayed in the tavern and rested for the night until we were rudely awoken by someone being murdered. This was by one of the other gangs, and after looking out and seeing the group surrounding the poor defenseless person, we went out to intervene. Whilst we were dealing with them, we got in a fight with them and were pretty damn good against them. I think we wiped them out in like 2 turns or something.
Oh, less than that. One round of combat on your part.
Yeah. And following that, they kept chanting about this tide that Rolt mentioned when we went and spoke to him. So we're kind of immediately drawn to cultish happenings. From this, we discovered that the person that was beaten and unfortunately killed was Belek Rang, the fisherman we met when we first arrived. We then heard some digging somewhere off in the distance. Geronimo went to investigate to discover that it was Palmer, the halfling man who was running the shop that we went to earlier on in that day. He was burying food and water the headsman was instructing him to do so and would pay him for doing it. So we went there, bringing one of the bodies of the cultists. The others were chucked into the sea and confronted Palmer. He got a bit overwhelmed and ended up running off home. We then went to the headsman's house, which was that big building in the middle of Storia, with the body to confront him about the gang and the death of Belek Rang. This was very late, and after a bit of a conversation, the tiefling, Theli, I believe, was basically insisting that we were lying to the headsman and that we were trying to cause trouble, and I think that's kind of about it.
Yeah, an incredibly comprehensive recount of last session, and that is exactly where we left off last time. So if I just throw some nice ambience in the background, we can return straight back to where we were, which was standing in the welcome kind of atrium hall of the Headsman, this fairly large, dirty floored, if plainly dressed room. The headsman standing before our party members, dressed in his kind of sleeping tunic with a jacket thrown on for warmth. Standing behind him, or just to the side, his tiefling barber assistant, dressed still fully in her flowing long dress, and off to the very one side, standing quite awkwardly and with very little to do, the page boy, looking very uncomfortable regarding the whole conversation. Felia has just said, essentially, can we trust these people? Shouldn't we be questioning them? When we left the session. And the headsman would peer across to our party members, one of his very faint blonde eyebrows curving ever so slightly, as if this is an interesting concept that you, the party members, might be in fact responsible for the death of Bellic and the hooded cultist that you have brought here. Well, Felia's got a point. Could it not be you who committed these vile murders?
Well, do you think we'd come to you with the body after, committing some sort of murder instead of skipping town?
There's a pause. Sorry.
We're strangers here. I mean, what do we have to gain from this, apart from trying to help you?
A logical argument. I agree. Certainly you could have just skipped town. Still, your reasons for being here beyond that stupid cup, or whatever it is, are something of a mystery, and there is a reason we don't take kindly to strangers in this town.
Well, not to insult or anything, but maybe you should. I mean, if we didn't step in, they probably would have killed someone else.
As you say this, Felia would speak up again. The militia was put together to defend the villages here in Storia. Is it not possible that perhaps they were doing so against you, and you are now trying to cover your tracks so you can continue this search?
So you're insisting that we approached the very same man who helped us only the day before, to then murder him and blame the militia which is supposed to protect him?
You say this man helped you. You may have coerced him. He may have been bullied by you the other day. We are not to know.
Well, we can go dig him up for you, then you can ask him after that if you want. The man's dead. Show some compassion.
There is a look of disdain across all of their features as you suggest digging up the dead, followed by some confusion when you then suggest showing compassion. Argo raises one of his very pudgy hands and says, "We are at an impasse, it seems." I believe Felia raises some excellent points. However, most notably, she lacks evidence. And I'd admit that your argument that there is nothing to gain by bringing this forwards carries some weight. How many, did you say, attacked you, or was attacking poor Bellic?
Geronimo doesn't speak, but it's very clear he's just trying to count on his hands, but he's having some trouble with the math.
I believe there was 4.
4 of them, I see. And you've brought 1. Where are the other 3?
Baron looks down to Durgus.
Geronimo looks up to Durgus.
Natara looks over towards Durgus.
Yeah, and he folds his arms quite confidently. Oh, what's wrong with the precious?
You threw them in the... Wait, the water? Why did you throw them in there?
Well, would you rather me, leave them out for people to see in the morning? Flies buzzing and all.
No, but we could have dealt with the bodies. You threw so there aren't any more bodies.
Well, we can go swimming in and, drag them back out if you really want.
You said you threw them in the ocean.
Well, the tide will probably bring them in anyway.
I was going to suggest something similar.
The Tara groans.
We did bury Belloc on the beach.
Aye.
Sad day. Sad day, Belloc is gone.
Guys. She looks at the group. Should we mention, perhaps, what they were saying? You know, the militia.
Well, I don't see why you can't mention it.
Right, they were chanting, like cultists, about the tide.
Cultists? About the tide?
Aye.
There's a... everyone give me an insight check for a moment, please.
Oh,
Oh, oh.
Yeah, everyone can throw me that, yeah.
there we go.
I feel the power coursing through me.
There we go.
Oh, delightful 3.
A 15?
15's not bad. A 14 from
18.
19. Baron and Geronimo being insightful boys. Actually, this probably would be just Geronimo and Baron. Okay, so Geronimo, Baron, Natara. You will all see as Felia's eyes briefly flash to look at Argo. Geronimo and Baron, you are the only two that notices Argo's eyes flicker back to hers. But this is momentary, this is quick enough that Brannon and Durgus miss all of this.
Hey, do you knows anything about any gods that may be worshipped around here? I know some folklore.
Right, there was some fella that mentioned that somebody here offended one of the sea gods.
I can certainly speak to no particular deity that Storia holds most dear. It began as a small fishing community. People brought their own gods, and it was never deemed prudent enough to offend any of the others by building anything for one in particular. This mention of the tide, he shrugs slightly. It's a rather generic statement, though, given our history with the sunken library. I would not be surprised if some of them have developed some superstitions regarding the tide and rising, and he shrugs slightly.
This wasn't no superstition. All 4 of them were chanting at the same time, over and over and over again as they attacked. They did not stop until they went down.
Judging by your reactions between each other just there, I'd say you know a bit more than what you're telling us.
And also,
Sorry.
there was also some marine life growing on one of them. A shell. Like it's been in the water for a very long time.
Argo has been backpedaling as you've kind of thrown these accusations one after another, and you can tell that every time he went to speak and you spoke up, he had to pause and reconsider what he was going to say. People are superstitious, as a rule of thumb. Superstitions spread far and wide. I knew a girl once before I was sent out here, and her whole family believed that if they sat on rabbit's feet, then that would make them, well, he adjusts his kind of goggle spectacles a bit. Shall we say, they were short of sons, and they wanted to change that.
Natara's gonna interrupt him again and go, what does rabbit feet has anything to do with it? We picked up a shell, we had to, get it loose with a knife from the skin of the man. It was attached, it was growing out of his body. So please tell me how that has something to do with superstition.
I don't see how your rabbit story has anything to do with what you know about the tide either.
Aye.
I'm simply suggesting that people often need something to believe in for hope. Our people, as I mentioned, don't have a particular god. Some have a smattering of beliefs, but in general they have only what they can hold dear. If some of them have taken to some strange cultish, and he says the words heavily laden with kind of cynicism, then, frankly, I am not overly surprised. I'm sure you have all run into strange folk who need something to believe in their time. The thing with the sea life, did you say? Having to dig shells off
it
of
was
them?
a shell. You know, when something's been in the water for a long time, they get barnacles. Barnacles attach itself, but they have to be there for a long time. They had barnacles on them.
Honest?
She looks at the group and... Did we pick up the barnacle with us?
We've got the
No,
body.
we have the body. We have the body.
Oh, yeah. Did we take it off?
It's on the
You
chest.
have the body, the one that had the barnacles on, and you removed one of the barnacles.
Ah, yes, that
Geronimo's-
was it.
Geronimo's got one of the barnacles.
That was it.
I honestly don't know what to tell you. I don't know what could cause barnacles to grow on a person. That is incredibly strange, incredibly odd. I don't disagree with that point. But I don't if I don't have answers, I don't understand what your interrogating of me is going to achieve. You've reported the crime, you've reported the strange circumstances. What are you now insinuating?
Well, there's something a bit more concrete we might want to talk to you about. And he sort of gestures towards Geronimo. Do you have that, the note?
The note? He kind of looks towards Durgus with a slight bit of confusion on his face.
The letter.
Oh, Seeley, I'm going to ask which letter are we talking about?
What we found on the corpses.
Yeah, the one in
Oh,
which,
shit.
the one
I
that was
totally
ordering
forgot about that.
the one that was ordering the attack on Bellic.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah, but
totally forgot about that.
Didn't we
Yeah.
already
Okay,
show
no.
that? We showed that, right?
No, we haven't.
Okay, Geronimo then looks back to Durgus and goes, "Oh, yeah, of course," and then slips his hand into his backpack and pulls out this little note and kind of like offers it towards Durgus.
Yeah, and he take it in hand, though notably points it towards himself, so no one can see it just yet. He sort of gestures, beckoning towards the sort of the young child, and goes, "You there, wee boy? Do you read?"
I know my numbers and my letters, all right.
He beckons him over. Mind just having a read of this real quick, see if you recognise the handwriting.
He grabs a hold of it as he steps closely. You can tell his eyes switch over to the headsman every now and again, as if he's checking whether he has permission, almost like one would with a parent. There's no sign that he's told not to, and he gingerly reaches up to take the letter and read it, if you were to let him take it.
Yeah, he'd let him take it, but obviously
Okay.
would sort of hover a hand nearby.
Yeah, he looks the letter over, frowns as he pauses, and starts chewing on his bottom lip almost unconsciously, as if he's thinking very hard. Who might have written it, you said?
Hey, do you recognise the handwriting? I mean, I take it you run letters for these two.
I've been known to. I suppose it looks like some of the letters that come through here, but I couldn't say whose handwriting. A couple of people write fancy-like, but it's definitely fancy-like.
He'd sort of squint his eyes, seeing if maybe this child was a little scared to perhaps say something a bit more.
Would you like to make another insight check?
I would like to make an insight.
You know he would.
When the player thinks insight is lie detection.
Yeah.
With a 13, he's not even meeting your gaze. Like, he doesn't seem to realize you're even checking in on him. He is just kind of eyes fixed, studying the language as if he's really just trying to figure out what you've asked him.
Yeah. Okay. So he then sort of grabs the top of the note and quite lightly pulls it back if the child lets him. So I take it you get a lot of note traffic through here. He sort of peers now back fully towards the headsman.
We've been known to. It's the administrative heart of the village in the local area.
Well then, you may recognise this as well. And he sort of turns it back around and sort of holds it out at an arm's length, though obviously doesn't let him take it.
He peers forward, and there's another adjustment of the goggle glasses. as he thinks about what he's reading. There is no change in his facial features, though Felia also noticeably leans forward to see what you're holding out. They seem to lean back in unison before the headsman shakes his head. I'm afraid I don't recognize it, but if it is what it looks like, then it's an incredibly insidious attack on one of the citizens of this village.
Indeed it does. And he sort of pulls it backwards. Though, can you go through your notes and try to compare the two? We've got to find out who did this.
Go through my notes. And there is now a deadpan stare from the headsman.
Well, do you want to find the bastard or not?
Of course. But why does that require you?
Well, because first off, we got the note, and second off, apparently we're the only ones you can trust in this entire village. If the militia, the ones you hired to keep you safe, are now apparently cultists going around killing people, who else, can you really... And he sort of shrugs his arms, implying, perhaps this is a bit bigger than perhaps he likes to think.
As Durgus does that, Geronimo kind of looks straight towards the headsman and kind of gives him this sort of like big thumbs up, kind of like, and cheesy grin, sort of like, yeah, we're the guys you can trust. They're all serious.
As if to rain on the parade of said big cheesy grin, Felia would step forward. Or you may be the very people that are trying to make this investigation go wrong.
Sorry, but are you the headsman?
As you say that, she snorts, her nostrils flaring, but she does look towards the headsman, who kind of raises a hand almost placatingly, before saying, she is not. However, I can conduct my own investigations. I do not require you to go through my notes, some of which contain information that is not for the eyes of anyone else.
Well, why don't you give us one of the ones that don't have any of that information on?
He narrows his eyes. We have already discussed the fact you are strangers here. Let me make it abundantly clear. You do not hold any judicial power in this settlement, and you will not be conducting investigations into the death of its citizens.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Hey guys, maybe we should just let the nice man do his own investigation. We can busy ourselves doing other things, right?
Aye, we'll see how many bodies rack up before he decides to, give us a bit of a poke. You seem to be doing very well with the other party which went missing. Apparently you didn't even know about that.
Well, we can start right here by confiscating that note as evidence. He holds out one pudgy hand.
Don't give it to him, Durgus.
Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't. So let us make a copy first. Two groups working on it together will certainly do a bit better.
Geronimo looks through his bag for some sort of fax photocopy machine that they can kind of...
Fortunately said fax photocopy machine that doesn't exist.
Magical tinkering!
Shut the hell up. The headsman frowns. A moment ago you were committed to solving this crime. Now you're withholding evidence from the rightful authorities. I am more inclined to believe Felia at this point.
I'm inclined to believe that you take the note and get rid of it and act like nothing ever happened.
Aye, keep in mind that, the militia of cultists who just killed someone were under your control and your command.
And you are suggesting they are all bad. Can you back that up with evidence either?
The state of Rolt, the tabaxi that the other gang beat up.
Rolt was found to have been conducting himself in a manner unbecoming of a citizen of Storia.
You said it yourself, people get suspicious when they have no hope, but you won't let them speak out against the authority that gives them no hope.
People are regularly allowed to speak out. The only people who seem to oppose the rightful authorities are strangers like you, who report murders and then don't hand over any of the evidence.
So are we the first group? Because it's sounding like we're not.
You are not. his face almost seems to soften as he says that. We've had strangers here before. And, I would say 9 out of 10 occurrences, they have always brought trouble.
What was the findings in the last investigation then? I'm guessing the strangers were the ones that were guilty?
Last investigation into murder? You haven't had an investigation into murder in quite some time. You mentioned the last party. Have you discovered their fate?
We've found cloth that is to be believed from one of them in the library.
I see, and is that confirmation of murder?
It's confirmation they've gone missing.
Which is not the same as murder. You yourselves have all gone very far from your homes. Is it not possible that they have done the same and simply moved on from here?
Well,
Do you have proof of that?
and did you see their rooms? They were, ransacked.
I cannot be held accountable for the security of a tavern, and I am not suggesting that I know for certain that they have just moved on. What I'm telling you is lack of evidence is not the same as evidence. Evidence which, he points again towards Durgus, who has the letter, you are withholding.
I just said we'll hand it over just when we make a copy. I mean, you can watch us if you want to.
As you say that, he snaps his fingers and points to the door behind him. The boy looks round, nods, and runs off. And about 20 seconds later, he comes running back with a piece of parchment, takes it off the boy, holds it out towards you. Draw your copy.
Oh shit! Is anyone good at copying? Oh,
Brannon, surely he does like wizard stuff.
where's Victoria when you need her with the copying stuff?
I know. Victoria.
Come back.
Oh.
I'm gonna channel my inner Ashton.
Give it a go.
Yeah, and he'd sort of take the bit of parchment and peer back towards Brannon. You know words and writing and stuff, right? Should we just find a table and get any sort of emotes writing something down?
Yes, I can do that easy enough. I've got most of the supplies on me.
Do you have a table we could use? He says, peering back.
The headsman frowns before raising one of his fingers and curling it. With the size of him and that the actual kind of movement doesn't really seem to show up much. It almost looks like kind of a slightly wiggling caterpillar. But he turns and shuffles off, leading you into the next hallway, in which he takes a candelabra off of a much nicer desk, giving you space to copy out.
Brannon will walk up to it, getting a small piece of parchment out of his bag and flicking his wrist, and a quill just appears in, just a tiny little one, and starts noting out everything immediately on the parchment as he copies it over.
I mean, you're just copying out text. There's no check necessary. It's fairly easy. It's only a couple of words.
Yeah, cool.
The handwriting.
I mean, because of the quill, do I get help with that? Because the special thing.
Oh,
The special thing. Oh, wizardly quill. Oh,
Yeah.
almost rhymes.
no, the quill doesn't really talk about it being like any better at you being able to copy something. It just means you don't need ink. If you're trying to copy it exactly, I will need some kind of writing tools, like cartography tools.
I've got the cartography tools, so I'm proficient in that.
Make a check with them with intelligence.
Okay, so it's just intelligence with proficiency.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, oh god, not great.
Oh, that's
8.
not that good.
No.
A 6, you mean?
8, because that's not including my proficiency.
Oh, apologies. Okay.
Right.
You do a job of it. It's definitely not a perfect copy. Like, there's bits here and there where you squiggle off and you're like, oh, it doesn't look like that, and you just kind of rub it out, and you can't quite get it to exactly match, but it's an estimation of what the handwriting was.
And just out of curiosity, is anyone other than Durgus with me?
Everyone's there, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
by this
everyone's
table, I
there.
mean.
Whenever you guys interrogate the government, I assume you will march around in a posse.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah, we're just
We have to
walking
be.
around with some
Yeah.
signs up and stuff.
In that case, he'll do his best to copy and then immediately hand back the original letter to Durgus.
And Durgus, whereabouts are the is the headsman?
Right next to the desk where you just handed the letter over to Durgus.
Okay.
Don't try and cheese it. Just
checking my sleight of hand real quick.
Uh-huh.
the cheese.
The
Better be
rogue
good.
instincts are coming back.
Yeah.
Right, he take the original. He take the original copy and sort of hand it over towards the large fat man.
The headsman takes it very gently, looks at it, and then folds it up neatly down the middle before wagging it. Thank you. I shall ensure to compare these to the correspondence that comes through, and hopefully we might be able to narrow down the list of suspects.
Say, you gonna be able to let us know how the investigation goes, seeing as we helped you and all?
I shall ensure that you get a front row seat when the traitor hangs.
Hey, I'd love a bit of theater.
He noticeably does not smile.
Geronimo smiles, though.
Of course he does.
Geronimo's then gonna look to the others and go, I think we're done here, unless anybody got any fun stories to say, but I don't think we do, so we should probably get going. He kind of gestures towards the exit.
Well, I mean, we've still got the body, of the barnacles on the back.
Aye, so if you guys want to have a look at that, it's right there.
You're most kind.
Well, I mean, do you want us to take it or, keep it here with you? I mean,
We can deal with our dead. We shall look into these barnacles. And then we shall quietly and cleanly deal with them, as well as those that should be being washed up.
yeah, and Durgus sort of nods his head quite firmly before turning around and goes, well, I think that's everything then. Just, he sort of points towards a corner. Just leave him there or something, Brandon. Not Brandon, Baron.
He's currently been dumped in the hallway. You're not there.
For fuck's sake. Slumped up against the wall.
Yeah,
I guess Baron just walks out and picks up the body and just puts it in the corner where Durgus motioned to.
there is just awkward staring from Felia and the headsman. The young kind of manservant doesn't really seem to know what's going on and is just looking around expectantly as if he hopes someone will give him an instruction very, very soon.
Geronimo is going to just grab onto Durgis's arm and then grab Brannon and just kind of like just pull them away as he goes, thank you for your time, your excellency. Appreciate it. Have a nice day. And he kind of tries to pull them out.
Yeah, Durgus, he'd pause for a second, sort of pulling away briefly as he spins and sort of raises a hand as he's sort of hopping, trying his best to sort of fight back. But obviously not like putting his whole effort into it.
You could easily do that.
Do you have any dwarves, like ancient rune towers or anything nearby? Something malign could be using as a base?
Ancient towers. Again, this question seems to catch everyone unawares. Ancient towers, lairs, things where evil things might live. No.
So, well, it's worth a guess. And with that, he sort of peers back quite nonchalantly as he's quite eager to leave.
Geronimo's going to keep dragging them then.
The headsman looks over at... was Brannon one of the people you dragged?
Yeah, Brannon is one of the
Sorry,
people.
Natara then. The headsman just looks at Natara briefly before she goes, does your friend think he's in some kind of fantasy novel or something?
I don't really know. Which one of them? The gnome or the dwarf?
evil towers nearby. It's a fishing village.
Well, there are old ruins around, and as you said, people are superstitious, so maybe there are some areas that could be considered evil by the villagers, no?
I mean, he shrugs slightly. There's always the forests nearby,
The forest.
the caves along the sea, marshes out in the farmlands. There's always rumors and stories of beasts that live in there and hunt people. He kind of throws his hands up as if almost done with the situation.
Anything in particular, like, I don't know, folklore or superstition around the tides and some of the locations? That would be quite useful.
Festival's coming up. But
festival?
I don't... Yes.
Where you throw rocks in the ocean, right?
Yes, although I don't really encourage it. It's rather dated.
So there's no locations that springs to mind.
I just gave you a list of lots of different places
Alright.
people are scared to go.
Marshes, forest, and cave.
There's those. He shrugs slightly. Some of the abandoned houses have children's stories about them, of ghosts that live there. Would you like every single tale of something scary that goes bonk in the night?
No, I want the tale of the big story that everybody believes and that everybody think is scary or evil. That's the story I want.
Well, we don't seem to have one.
Peculiar. Every town has one.
He just shrugs slightly. Sorry to disappoint.
Well, anyways, appreciate your hospitality. Good morning, day. Let's go. And Geronimo's just gonna keep dragging people out the door
Yep.
as much as his 8 strength can.
Yeah, is anyone not leaving?
No.
Don't think so.
Okay, you are standing back outside the headsman's then, and where would you like to go next?
As Geronimo gets outside, he sort of lets go of Brandon and Durgus and kind of like, dusts off his hands as if, that's a hard day's labor done. He's dragged these guys and they're pretty big in comparison to him. He looks pretty happy with himself. He's going to look to them and go, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty convinced that scary lady is at least responsible.
He wouldn't be
think that-
surprised. Oh, sorry,
they're both
Baron.
just as much to blame.
I wouldn't be surprised if she might be the brains behind the operation. What was
Hey,
that?
she's probably got him under a spell or something. My grandpa used to tell me stories of like vile demon temptresses which used to wrap people around their fingers, make them do strange stuff.
Yeah. Like put tomato sauce on things that don't belong.
Well, maybe that, but more the stabby killing your friends type.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah, that's the wrong part. Geronimo's going to kind of look away.
But maybe put in tomato sauce on the corpse as well. Maybe it's like some sort of a staple.
Yeah, I don't think that you're supposed to eat corpses. So
Look, what do you want to do now? Look, it's how dark is it, Alex? Is it still like middle of the night ish?
Yeah, middle of the night, really early morning. Like you guys haven't been outside for that long.
Well, we can always go back to bed, but I do suggest we head along the coast. I mean, the other party, that's where they were last seen heading, right? And, well, they keep talking about the tide, we may as well pay it a visit.
Or you don't want to check up on your no mess.
Well, I mean, depends if you want to go now or in the morning, where we can actually see the tide. We're gonna have to go head back to the tavern either way.
I just thought of something. If they do you think it might be worth investigating whether they attack at certain times? If it's all about the tide, it's going to maybe be linked to when it goes out and when it comes in.
Well, I don't really have he sort of peers up towards the moon and squints and tries to gauge the sort of time of night based off that.
Maybe sometime past midnight? Maybe?
Well, it's maybe a bit past midnight. It could be that they, attacked dead on in the middle, but I mean, I don't know how they tell that sort of thing.
I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of how the sea works, but it just might be interesting if we can try and catch him in the act. Not just what we did today, but I mean, we got that, and we got to talk to Palmer. There's a lot of things we can do.
I don't think we should be, fussing with Palmer much anymore. I think we scared him senseless. But it's still rather strange that the headsman's paying him to, various supplies and stuff. We probably, well, I don't think we should have brought that up, but still, clearly something he was hiding from us.
Yeah, the only other thing we could do is we could try and find one of those letters and compare. I'm sure Brandon Hatsy did a great job with the copying.
I wouldn't be so sure. It's not exactly my forte.
We could
Look,
also
we can read it.
we could also check out one of those abandoned houses. They must have like a headquarters or something somewhere.
And hearing the idea of headquarters, Durgis's eyes seem to go very wide as he begins to march, almost jogging off towards the beach where they had the altercation.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Durgis is marching off. What's everyone else going to do?
Shout after him. Durgis, where are you going?
Well, they've got to have headed there at some point, right? I mean, maybe there's some tracks or something from the house or cave or wherever they live in.
All right. Guess we're going to the beach.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to follow.
And seeing as nobody wants to stay behind, you guys can make your way very quickly back down to the beach where you had your fracas with the cultists. 3 or 2 of the bodies are now kind of splayed up on the sand, gently being pushed just in and out by the tide, whilst the only evidence of the third individual that you had killed is a boot standing almost upright in the water slightly further out. The disturbed sand and gravel where you buried Bellic is a stark testament to exactly where you had your combat, as well as the big stains of blood from where you literally eviscerated them, because I think we had like 3 nat 20s.
Yeah, and as they get close, you sort of splay both arms out as to sort of stop people. He then squints and... Is it raining at all? Because I think I put down a torch in the sand or something at some point.
Yeah, there's a torch in the sand. It's still burning, not as brightly as before. Being up against the ground kind of limits the flame, but it's not raining, so it's still going.
Yeah, and he sort of tiptoe over, being quite careful not to disturb the sand as he goes to try and pick the torch up, and then trying his best, sort of surveys the local area to see if there's any sort of footprints which seem to go elsewhere than where they've been. I think we went obviously over towards Palmer, and then we went over towards what was it, Headsman's house. So anything in any other direction.
Give me a survival check with disadvantage, because you have actually done this before.
Oh shit, sorry.
That's all right. So you can try again and kind of come back to it, but I think you've kind of done this before.
Ooh, 23.
23, that's still a fantastic roll. You check out the tracks, and you basically begin by going over what you've already trod. Looking at where you think you've come from, eliminating those tracks, and starting to pick out the ones that you think are solely belonging to Bellic and this gang. It takes you a bit of time because you're treading over a lot of ground you've trodden over, and sometimes you find the tracks that say Geronimo left, and you kind of follow them and go, no, that doesn't quite make sense, and you come back on yourself. Eventually, you find not a set of tracks, but the kind of strange, long dragging marks, as if someone had been pulled along rather than footprints, leading up in a different direction, heading towards the top of the jetties. And onto a dirt street in which there are a number of wooden hovels set along. The kind of scratch marks seem to go further and further along, eventually stopping in front of one of the huts in particular, and you immediately recognize it as the hut of Bellic, in which you had been kind of welcomed to a lack of dinner the day before. But no more tracks other than that, I'm afraid.
Okay. So coming up to Bellic's house, Durga sort of peer back, making sure everyone was sort of followed.
Yeah, Geronimo definitely followed Durgus. He seemed to sort of like being some sort of like bloodhound, so he's following him like closely behind, kind of peering out from the side of him.
Well,
And we just followed as well.
Yeah.
I guess we could give this a once over before we call it a night. Maybe it'll reveal something a bit more. And,
Yeah, I'm just kind of impressed you managed to find it. We spent ages away from that place. You got a real nose on you.
And he sort of reaches up and sort of honks his own nose, which is noticeably quite large. Obviously, dwarves don't have small, petite noses in the slightest. He goes, what can I say? It's in the genes. And he then sort of goes into quite crudely sort of barge the door open before realizing, this is probably some sort of like crime scene investigation. So he just sort of stands quite awkwardly in the front of the house as he tries to look around quickly before moving out the way so others can get in.
Barging the door is actually remarkably easy. Before, when you arrived, you would remember that the door had to be unlatched. As you barge it, there is no resistance whatsoever. And in fact, getting to the other side of the door, you can turn and see that the locking bar, that was just kind of like a wooden plank that had been nailed in, that kind of was just dropped down to act as a lock, is totally smashed through, as if someone has forced the door very heavily to get in. Around the room, there are clear signs of a struggle. Even the meager possessions and belongings of Bellic are knocked over and strewn about the place. Most in some kind of state of having been broken, as if they were hit onto someone or someone fell on them or something like that. The fire is barely embering in the corner, the little burner. It's clearly been on this evening, but has not been restocked for quite some time. And just at the kind of far back of the room where there is a small sleeping space, you can see the very kind of meager remains of what was perhaps a collection of dried meats and dried fruits that were being chewed on.
Okay, Durgus would sort of just stand where he is, eyeing over, this sort of quite violent scene. He tiptoes forwards, trying to be quite careful as he peers from corner to corner, looking at the food, the embers in the fire. Before trying to see perhaps if there was a little bit more, maybe these cultists left something behind.
You can give me an investigation.
Can I help him with that? Because I realised I muted myself, but I was gonna just say Geronimo also was gonna look for essentially if they'd left anything behind.
Yeah, of course you can.
Durgus would help Geronimo, I think is a better way to.
Is that the way around you'd like to do it?
Well, hold on, let's just game at this moment. I'm kidding.
Okay. Now, hang on. What is Durgus's investigation?
-1.
Okay, that's a DC adjustment, definitely not advantage. But you're welcome to roll.
Okay,
Geronimo.
I'll do investigation, right?
Yes, please.
It was very average, but
With a 10, you move about, but no one seems to have left any notes like, "Oh, it's me, Billy Bob. I did it." Nothing like that.
damn it,
Damn Billy Bob. In fact, there is nothing to suggest really who could have perpetrated it. The only extra piece of evidence of something that doesn't seem to really belong here is that you notice, caught on one of the boards that used to make up a very rickety stool that you had seen Bellic sitting on before, there is a small piece of string that must have got caught off during a fight or something, and hanging on it almost like a kind of pendant or a necklace is a small piece of what looks like ship flotsam. It could be part of the ship's hull. It looks like it could be some cork from something that goes on a ship. It could be some kind of sail wrapped around. It's kind of this assortment of ship stuff that's all been jammed together into a single lump and they're placed onto this
string.
Yeah.
If Geronimo, when Geronimo looks at it, would he recognize this as something that Bellic has worn before? Like,
You didn't see Bellic wearing anything like this earlier, and Bellic didn't wear a huge amount of clothes. He kind of had these scabby trousers and a kind of tunic over the top, and that was about it. You know, he big bare arms, lots of scars. This guy lived rough, and so any kind of necklaces or kind of emblems or charms that he might have been wearing should have been obvious to you, and this definitely wasn't on his person.
Okay. Alrighty. Geronimo's gonna sort of he searches around. He sort of like puts his goggles on, then takes his goggles off. Kind of noses around, sort of tiptoes, sort of like kind of motions for Durgus to help him move something. Eventually gets to this crack in the seat, and he kind of with a sort of like the tip of his index finger and his thumb kind of pinches this sort of string, kind of holding it up in front of his face with this sort of flotsam, sort of corky mess on the end of it, and goes, "Hey, guys, I think I found something. Does anybody recognize this?" And he kind of turns around and shows everyone this necklace.
That, my wee friend, is a piece of string.
Looks like a cork or something.
Yeah, no, I kind of gathered that, but I meant more. Does anybody recognize it as someone's, like belonging to somebody?
Never seen it before.
Well, no, how would we know that?
I don't know. Maybe you got keen eyes than me. I mean, although my eyes are pretty keen. He kind of taps his temple, and then taps his eyes. Obviously, he closes his eyes, but yeah.
Maybe Durgis's friend would know.
Yeah. Who's your friend, Durgus? I mean, Smallsy, Bigsy. Geronimo's getting confused with all the nicknames.
Yeah, and he goes, well, I said we could see if Rosine knows anything about it, I guess. She is, well, probably met most people in the village. But I mean, and he sort of exhales, quite exasperated, as he moves over towards the door, sort of peering his head out. Were there any sort of like houses opposite or anything? There's like people are living nearby?
So this hut that Bellic lived in is on a row of very similar, very non-uniform huts of essentially the poor dock workers. There are no houses opposite. Opposite is the kind of rundown to the jetties and the beach. So it's kind of exposed to the elements where it is. It's not a desirable place to live in the slightest.
Yeah, so it's not like there's anyone who perhaps could have heard them, breaking in or anything nearby.
I mean, the houses are fairly close, but they're not attached in any way. And additionally, with the wind, with the weather, with everything that was going on, it might be very difficult. But you would remember that you heard him crying out in pain.
We did. And I did.
Mm.
Okay. Durgus, sticking his head back in, gonna sort of waddle back. Goes, well, how far do you want to take this investigation tonight?
I don't mind doing it as much as we can, but I should probably get a bit of sleep. I need my beauty sleep to keep this complexion.
He sort of eyes him up and down and frowns a little bit, goes, right. Well, I think we should, question some of the nearby houses, see if they heard anything, and, well, as I said, I still think we should walk by the seaside in the morning, see if we spot or notice anything.
I think we should continue in the morning. If we carry on later on in the night, we'll likely miss things out from being too tired.
Aye. But, should we go bury the bodies, or just think the headsman will manage that?
I think if we mess with the bodies, they're going to know who's done it. So I think just maybe leave them alone. Also, the people are going to start thinking we like to do weird things with bodies because you said some weird things about bodies earlier.
What did I say, which was strange?
I don't know about digging them up. They kind of looked at you kind of funny,
Well, I mean, she was the one who wanted to question Bellic. Look, I don't really understand what's going on, but let's head back to the inn, shall we?
Geronimo's going to walk up to Durgus and pat him on the shoulder and kind of give him that sort of like patronizing sort of, it's okay, friend, kind of look, for not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and he gives them a bit of a dumb smile back, like clearly not noticing that it was patronizing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, is anyone else planning on doing anything here in Belik's house?
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Nope,
Nope.
Okay. And is there any plans to investigate anything further tonight?
not tonight for me.
Nope.
I think
Nope.
first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a return to the mournful wench's respite then. Fantastic. The slow march back in the grim darkness occurs, and you return to find that Razim has actually awoken, with essentially all of her guests having gotten up and gone out. She is anxiously cleaning a mug, and as you all come back in, she just stares at you wide-eyed as if she expects you to produce a dead body, say, or something like that.
Fergus offers quite a friendly wave, not really reading the expression and general mood. He's like, "Oh, hello."
Everything all right?
You look quite nervous, dear. Is anything amiss?
You may have noticed I'm normally quite nervous, especially when all my guests go wandering out in the night.
Oh, everyone's out?
Well, you all went out, so yes.
Oh, are we everyone?
She nods her head very slowly, as if almost sad at that fact.
Oh. You...
Problem if your guests go out?
Just the hour is strange, and given that the last set vanished, some concern.
Aye, well, we're all fit and dandy. Look, shall we head inside?
She doesn't seem to bar your way, has no questions, is happy for you to return to your rooms, unless any of you had anything to talk to Razim about.
Yeah, so he sort of dip his head a bit to imply that maybe, they should head inside so he can talk about stuff a little more.
Okay. What would you like to discuss?
Yeah, so sort of walking in, he goes, "Look, Razim, were you particularly close to Belik?"
Belik? Not close. No, not close. I bought some fish off him from time to time. At least I tried to. He didn't bring it back a huge amount, so he was priced a little bit high. I did my best to help him out.
Aye, he sort of dips his head quite slowly. And do you know those two fellows, the dwarf and the orc who, we had a bit of a small misunderstanding with? Do you know anything more about them? Where they live, that sort of thing?
Not exactly where they lived. No, Palmer's, I think. But there's a couple of houses out that way. I don't know which would be theirs.
Right, well, let's just say the, what's the best way to put this? He sort of peers back towards the others.
Unfortunately, Belik was the target of another one of the gang attacks, much like Rolt, but he didn't come off so lucky.
There is a moment of confusion on her face, as if she can't quite comprehend what you've said, followed by a scrunching up of the features as the reality seems to crunch in onto her. Belik? No! Oh, God. She puts her head in her hands. They're always going after the good ones.
We did confront the headsman about it, but...
You did what?
Well, his gangs are killing innocents.
You confronted him about it? There's a look of total incredulation on her features.
Baron kind of just doesn't seem fazed by it.
Look, and well, do you recognise either of these? And he sort of gestures towards Geronimo to show her the crudely copied letter and the funky cork necklace.
Yeah, Geronimo's gonna. Well, he doesn't have the letter, I don't think, but he definitely has the necklace. So he basically will pick up the necklace from his pouch or from his backpack, and he kind of holds it at the end and kind of offers it towards Razim.
She looks at it for a moment. Some of the people around the village have things that look like that. They're not all the same. Lucky charms, things like that. You went and confronted the headsman. Oh, this could mean horrors for the rest of us. Why would you do that?
Don't know why it would be horrors for you. We're the ones who are apparently causing trouble.
And when you leave or vanish, it's us that'll get it in the neck.
So you know what he's doing isn't right. And does everyone know that?
There's nothing right about living out here. But the other options are going and being destitute somewhere else. Or trying to leave and dying on the road because of bandits.
Has anyone else ever confronted him like this?
Not in recent memory.
Baron kind of wipes a hand over his face in thought. I'd like to think that before we end up leaving, we'll have some reason of what's actually going on.
Well, I'm not going to leave until we find out, why those people went missing.
Yeah, and he just motions over to Durgus.
Look, if he's so evil and all that, then why did you lot vote him in? I mean, I take it you were here when they select who these new leader people are.
He wasn't voted in by me. I didn't vote for him. But he had just groups of people, some of the local farmers, some of the local fishermen, some of the porters. They all had guilds, communities, groups that they work together in. It's how everyone who works together negotiates, and he had friends in all of those. They voted en masse. It just seemed the right thing to do. He was smart, wealthy, and promised to bring jobs and money. There has at least been more regular merchants since he's come into power. I'll admit my business hasn't suffered because of him.
And, sorry to interrupt, but are they the sort of people who would wear, trinkets like that?
I told you, some of the people around the village wear things like that. It's a recent trend.
Which leads us to, I guess, the bit more compromising piece. And he pulls forwards the letter. Does this handwriting, do you recognize it? We had to make a copy because the headsman demanded the real one, but, well, let's just say it's a bit damning.
She takes the letter if offered, and gives it a read, and her features fall as she reads the content, before she hands it very quickly back, as if doing so will wipe it from her mind. No, I don't recognize the handwriting. I don't get a lot of letters. I don't. The most paperwork I deal with is normally receipts from Palmer or some of the fishermen.
Does she seem as if she's being genuine about?
She seems, on the one hand, incredibly downtrodden. She's very negative about this all, and on the other hand, she seems in some slight shock.
Okay.
Take from that as you wish.
Yeah, got it.
Well, sorry to bring this up to you, but as I said, we don't really have many friends in this village, and we want to try and get to the bottom of this.
Well, if you're pissing off the headsman, you're not going to have a huge many friends going forwards either.
Well, he doesn't seem to like strangers at all, so I don't think there's any real way for us to make a good impression, especially now that we're telling him his, grunts are going around killing people.
She just nods her head in agreement as if what you've said is probably very true.
Right, so we're gonna go, lay our heads down and leave early in the morning, but I do suggest, you be a bit careful. I mean, if they went after Bellic for helping us, and I don't want to, imply anything, but just, you may be more safe for you if you, maybe accompany us in the future. Or, just lock your doors at night.
Her eyes immediately flash to the door you've walked through to get in. She just nods her head and is already standing up, seemingly going over to lock the door.
Geronimo's going to look to the others and go, maybe we should let the poor girl get some more sleep, and we just go to bed ourselves.
I
Right.
think we've worried her enough.
Well, if it's reassuring, I mean, I'd be willing to stay up, just keep watch. Maybe we can do a shifts or something.
Yeah, but wouldn't we have to all be in the same room for that to work?
Well, I mean, just stay down here. I mean, I doubt they'll be able to break in upstairs.
Do you think they're gonna send people in the night? And Geronimo looks a bit terrified himself at this point.
Aren't you meant to be, and he sort of goes and taps his forehead. Quite a big brain.
Yeah, just because I got intelligence don't mean that I don't know how these people work. I just don't want I don't want to be attacked. I want to live. That's why I left Cogwheel.
Well, if they went after Bellic and probably the people before us, maybe they're thinking of, doing something similar to ourselves.
Then maybe it's a good idea then.
Razim is looking more and more concerned and then scared as you continue this banter about being attacked in the night by gangs from the village.
Look, I'll stay awake tonight. Just keep an eye on the door, the windows, that sort of thing. See if I hear anything strange, and, I take it we'll just take it in shifts as the nights go on. I mean, I certainly sleep better.
You shouldn't stay up for the entire night. You can come and wake me up when you need to get some rest.
Well, let's call it, we probably go, what, 4 hours more sleep, maybe a bit longer. I'll call you when I'm feeling a bit sleepy.
Yeah, and Baron just nods to him.
Yeah, and Durgus then goes and just takes a seat, sort of cradling back on it, as he sort of twiddles his thumbs, realizing it's going to probably be quite a long night now.
Is anyone else up to anything in particular this evening?
No.
Nope.
No.
No.
Fantastic. In which case, we can probably take this as a fantastic opportunity to have a break. We've been running for just over an hour now, so we'll take a break, we'll grab drinks, we'll go pee-pee, and we'll be back in 5-10 minutes, okay?
Cool.
Sweet.
Fantastic.
Nice.
And welcome back, everybody. We hope you had a fantastic break. I know we did. So we are returning with Awakening the next morning. The night passed uneventfully, and although Durgus was up keeping a watch, it seems he didn't really need to, as certainly nobody made any kind of approach towards the tavern. By the time the sun has risen and things are starting to come back to life in Storia, the party can convene once more in that kind of general social space in the Wench's Respite for a breakfast of fish eggs, ooh, yummy, that have been fried up, served with a very watered down ale, as they discuss perhaps what their plans for the day are, since they are all fully rested and have plenty of investigating ahead of them, I'm sure.
I can click the long rest feature.
You can click the long rest feature.
Whoa, crazy.
There we go. Done.
Automation.
Blammo. What do these fried fish, fried fish eggs? Do they taste like?
You're gonna take a big chew of them?
Yeah, Geronimo's gonna take a bite and see what they taste like.
They're not so bad. A little bit salty, a little bit dry. You probably would have cooked them with some kind of sauce as like a side, but it's not bad. It's a bit like kedgeree, but fishier and with less rice.
Okay. Geronimo's gonna like nom on them, and as if Razim ever looks over, he's just gonna be like, and kind of like try and pretend that he really enjoys it, but he's sort of like he's just chewing them.
She seems to appreciate the gesture.
So
He's gonna look at the others.
what's the plan for today? Durgus said about going along the waterfront.
Well, it's the last place we saw the other party go. I don't see why we shouldn't give it a look.
Suppose if it's one of our leads without angering the town further, we should probably pursue it.
Unless there's any other ideas. I said that really weirdly. Yeah, unless there's any other ideas.
No, I'm pretty happy to go with what you guys want to do.
Well, maybe we should look in some of the ships as well. I mean, we found, what was it, that sort of strange cocky thing?
Thing? What do you mean?
The
Well, the
cloak,
necklace.
necklace.
A necklace.
Hey, well, you're not paying attention, Gavin.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a weird blend of honesty and icy. As the character broke the fourth wall and attacked Brandon's player.
This is really is actually in my room as we speak.
Okay, so where are you guys headed then? As you chow down the last of your fried fish eggs, yum yum yum.
To the tide. To the tide.
Tide.
To the sea.
To the
So
tide.
just down to the beach. You're taking a beach day.
Durgus just wants to catch some rays. That's what he's about.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a fairly short walk down to the beach. The sun is not necessarily shining, but it's certainly up there somewhere, casting a fairly gloomy rays across the village of Storia, illuminating the grimy and sullen features of the citizenry who go about their meagre and pathetic lives, I say as the all-powerful DM. The beach itself is actually either side of the village, geographically speaking, as it seems that the sections where the beach comes right up to the waterfront are mostly stony, with a little bit of mud and a tiny amount of sand, but it kind of makes way mostly for the jetties and waterfronts that have been built there. Going to one of the sandy banks, it is the same kind of shade of grey that the rest of the village is inhabited by, and there is this kind of sickly layer of seaweed that seems to stick to everything, as well as a few piles of rocks here and there that have been deposited probably by the storm that was here kind of yesterday. Off to one side, you can see as the ground slowly rises up, creating these what look like maybe clay cliff faces. And then on the other side of the village, again, you can see eventually the ground rises up to form a more rocky, harder-looking series of ridges.
Okay, is it like a port at all where there's like any ships?
Port would be putting it incredibly strongly. Other than the kind of very short fishing wharves that are set into the village itself, barely big enough for some of the larger fishing vessels. Nothing of the sort that's that big. This doesn't have the population to support it. It's been a very long time since ships of that size have even come near Storia.
Right, well, do you want to go left or do you want to go right? I mean, if you aren't feeling a beach walk, we could always go try and interrogate some of the, nearby residents of Mr. Bellick's neighborhood. But I feel we may as well give this a go.
I might as well.
If we go left, don't that take us to the sunken library?
Well, we can always go around it. You know, keep on going. Maybe there's a cave or something.
Yeah, I don't mind. I just
a cave.
Hey, well, perhaps we should, maybe split 3 and 3. One group heads one way, one group heads the other, and we meet back up.
I don't think that's a great idea. We're dealing with murderers here. You want to split up? We've already put our noses clearly where it doesn't belong. I think we should stick together.
Yeah, I agree with Goggles over here. Just because I think whoever I go with is going to be at a real disadvantage when I run away.
Hey, well, I can look after you. And he sort of takes you in a bit of a headlock and sort of gives you a bit of a head rub.
Yeah, Geronimo squeals as Durgus puts his meaty hands around his head and gives it a rub.
There's a few awkward looks from some of the fishermen who are wandering past who see a dwarf giving a gnome like a noogie, and that gnome then squealing.
Hey, get hands off the merchandise!
And he kind of tries to pull away from Durgus's grip.
Yeah, and he sort of lets him go quite quickly before trying to sort of pointing with a thick finger towards one of the fishermen. He goes, "Oh, sorry to interrupt, but do you know if there's any sort of sea caves down that way, or that way?" He sort of points behind him, then forwards.
The fisherman looks you up and down, looks between everyone, and then just kind of grunts before turning and moving back to repairing what looks like his vessel.
Maybe you should go up to him and give him one of those hugs you just gave me.
I don't know. Was he speaking a different language, or I don't know what that was?
I believe he was grunting. Very manly.
Right. Well, how about we hit left first, and then, we'll, if we don't find anything, we'll spin back around and head right.
Yeah, sounds good. You lead the way, oh mighty leader.
Oh, yeah, I like the sound of that. And he sort of puffs his chest out, planting his fists on his waist as he begins to march forwards, every now and then sort of moving to keep his feet from getting drenched by the incoming tide.
Yeah, walking up the beach is relatively dull, if immeasurably refreshing work. It's that whole bracing sea air, and it begins to whip up into your face as the wind that comes from the east just kind of crashes these fairly heavy waves against some of the rocks further ahead. Walking along the beach is a bit of hard work, and eventually the sandy bank kind of disappears, making way for more the rocky slopes, and you can eventually find your way onto a small dirt track that seems to run perpendicular to the waterfront. It rises up and down these large banks and hills and down into these troughs where the land clearly shifts and changes based on the erosion caused by being on the seafront. But slowly, the ground does incrementally rise up and up and up as the ground loses any sense of a bank before the shore and instead gains this increasingly steep, rocky facade that almost looks a little bit waxy. It's that kind of wet clay water look. And even as you're watching, you can see sections of this large face of rock that, as a wave comes in and crashes against it, it tears out large clumps of the sodden earth. This is clearly a section of the terrain that is very quickly being eroded away. And surely before long, new caves will be opened up and old caves will be turned into pillars and things like that. The path veers away from the edge quite starkly and takes you to the top of these kind of hills and rises, giving you a very commanding and quite starkly beautiful view over the small bay that Storia sits in, as well as out to sea, where you can just faintly catch the glimmer of ships that are travelling in different directions, their vast sails and long flags flapping in the winds. Behind you, you can see some of the wider highways that connect the village of Storia to the rest of Middenfair, as well as the vast forests and farming land and pastures that rise and falls over the rolling hills that make up this lowland section of the island. But with regards to caves, I mean, there were definitely some in the kind of clay rock face, as you could see as you were rising up here, but not really somewhere you could get to very easily, and somewhere, honestly, that was vanishing so very quickly that if someone were to make it a base, they'd have to move in, say, like a week. It's really, really not a viable place to be setting up any kind of base.
Sort of standing there with the sea breeze going through his shock of ginger hair, feeling quite triumphant having climbed the cliff. He'd take a few breaths, sort of admiring the view before turning and clapping his hands together. Right, well, I don't see any sort of evil caves or anything, so shall we try the other way?
Aye, might as well.
Yeah, lead the way.
Wandering back towards the village means losing the rest of the morning, and it's not until a little before noon that you step out, moving the other way down the coast. This time on a much larger and longer bank of sand and pebbles that right now seems to have an assortment of gaggles of children that are running around playing in the sea. A few of the fishermen are fairly close to the shore. Some are waving back at families, communicating in some kind of sign language. Families are holding up different equipment and things like that the fishermen are probably asking if they could have swam over to them. Continuing on down here, you leave the small civilized section of Storia behind and continue back onto another natural pathway that meanders left and right as it does its best to avoid the largest and most steep of the kind of changing landscape. Once more, you hit another point in which the path begins to rise up gently and then much more steeply. Though this time you find that the ground around you is also rising up as you begin to climb a much harder, more solid-looking, stony rock face. This time, as the waves hit, nothing is pulled away, and instead you can see behind where the waves are hitting that very, very slowly, very large sea caves are being dug out by the water. And in fact, up where you are, on your right-hand side, the ground continues to rise. And all along that rock face, there are even more kind of pits and indents where water perhaps once before has hit, or the rain kind of comes in and erodes it, creating much shallower, but still just as prominent and obvious sections of the rock face that are starting to form into alcoves. Going a little further along, you do eventually run into a section where there is a fairly large, ominous round opening that suggests a much deeper sea cave than all of the rest around it.
Well, I'm guessing that's what we've come here for. And Baron would point out towards the cave.
I guess we found the sea caves.
Yeah, but who knows what might be in there? It may just be full of fish.
It's only a cave. I'm sure we can have a look around at least.
Sure the
Hey.
fishies won't eat you, Geronimo.
You better make sure they don't eat me.
Well, if they do, it'll be very funny to watch.
We have
will-
to be a
will be
big
funny.
fish.
It won't be funny for you, but maybe for the rest of us. I mean, after that squeal earlier. And he sort of goes to sort of like quite menacingly reach forwards as if he's going to grab him again.
Geronimo kind of does like the slappy hands kind of thing as the kind of meaty dwarf hand comes towards him. Kind of like, no, thanks. I had my fill, and he's gonna wander away from Durgus quite noticeably and stand on the other side of Natara.
Yeah, and he's got this massive sort of grin on his face as he goes, well then, I'm sure the cultists won't be waiting for us. Let's head on inside, see what we can find. And keep your eyes peeled, alright?
Does anyone have torches?
Oh, you don't
yeah.
need to ask.
Oh, well, we got the glowy stones, don't we?
Oh yeah. I could. Oh, hold on. Before we go in, I kind of kept this back a little bit, but I just noticed when we fought the cultists. Bigsy, do you wanna? I can make it so your axes go return to you, but I need some time. So maybe after this, if we take a little bit of a break for lunch, I can make your axe come back to you when you throw it.
What do you mean come back to me? Like, you
Well,
sort of,
it's like it's kind of like I'm infusing a little bit of that good old tinkering magic. So you throw it, it hits the target, and it comes back to you.
well, I mean, if you make it work, I'll be more than thankful, but I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, alright? It's not every day someone claims to be able to make something returns you like that.
Just remind me, okay? That's all I'm saying. Before I just remembered because we're going into a big scary cave, and you're gonna maybe use your weapons.
You won't charge me for it, will you?
No. Just keep me alive.
You sort of
I promise I won't steal your axes.
yeah, and he chuckles quite loudly. Look, we'll see what happens after we get this one a go, shall we? And he begins to sort of clamber up. I imagine they're quite sort of seaweed covered, sort of quite wet coastal rocks, trying to make his way towards this rather dark cave. Sort of taking a torch out and lighting it as he goes, sort of quite fumbling with his tinderbox.
Yeah, absolutely. A difficult climb, but certainly one that doesn't require a check. There's no real chance of you failing, more that just you might embarrass yourself now and again when you slip. The slimy stack of rocks leading up to the opening, making for as close to a ladder as you could hope for in this situation. The opening of the cave is quite large, and as you peer inside with your dark vision and with the torch that you eventually light, you can see that it kind of twists and winds as it goes, staying relatively straight though as far as you can see, until eventually your dark vision fails you and you cannot see any further.
Geronimo at that point, after making before he makes the climb, he's gonna search around for a couple of rocks, and on 2 rocks he's going to, with his wrench in hand, use magical tinkering to make them glow with light, and then he's going to hand them to Natara and Brannon.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So you guys are heading inside?
Yep.
So the tunnel continues straight for a short way, eventually taking a kind of zigzag before carrying on, and the sound of the ocean, which was crashing and rushing before, begins to fade away into this kind of strange buzzing echo, replaced overly now by the sound of just kind of slow, gentle dripping. A wet environment, one very close to the sea, but one that itself doesn't flood perhaps very often, and so it ends up being just perpetually damp. The darkness, the sound, and the stench of that kind of salty, fetid seaweed, dead fish, that natural seaside scent becomes very intense in this enclosed space. And if there's a couple of times where you might slip or something on an oddly shaped rock that is just totally slippery the moment you put your foot down onto it. There doesn't seem to be any sense of life down here at all. At least nothing beyond the kind of lichen, seaweed, and maybe tiny shellfish that scuttle around you're passing. And very soon the tunnel opens up into a much larger cave. With the light of the torch, the stones, and your innate dark vision, those of you who possess it, you can see that you're in a roughly rectangular-ish shaped cave, definitely naturally formed, giving it odd edges, with a number of varying kind of platforms with different heights. Off to your right, you can see there's a fairly high ridge that seems to lead to a small alcove, but it doesn't go any further than that. Off to your left, there is another ridge, and directly ahead of you, where the two ridges meet, you can see that the tunnel does continue, though it appears to have been blocked up with an assortment of boxes and barrels and crates.
Yeah, Durgus would he'd walk forward, sort of flaming the torch around to try and get a good look at these various different alcoves. Seeing where all these barrels and crates were, his eyes would light up, and he sort of punched the air triumphantly. It's like, aha! I knew we'd found something. Well, I guess that's some sign of, life, cultists inhabitants in this area. Let's, I don't know how we'll get through, but we can give it a go.
I think we'll be able to try and move them. It might just take a while.
Hey, not with big muscles like these. And he sort of does the underarm, sort of tensing thing.
Yeah, no, Baron's going to approach the boxes, calling over someone with either a shiny rock or Durgus with the torch, to first try and see if he can get into any of them, see if there's anything in them.
Into the boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easily enough done. You don't need any special check for it. The boxes themselves appear to be mostly empty. In fact, they're actually quite light. It seems all of them are made of wood, and however long they've spent down here, they've become saturated with water, and most have appeared to have started rotting away. It's impossible to say whether this was very recent or a very long time ago, given just the innately incredibly wet conditions of this cave. But it does make them incredibly easy to handle and hell break if you wanted to. Give me a... Actually, no, you don't need to give me a check for this. Stenciled onto the side, very faintly on most of the boxes and barrels, you can see the words Palmer's Provisions.
Oh, so this is where they've been taking everything that he took down.
Seems like it.
Aye.
Give me a hand moving these, someone, and while the conversation continues, Baron's going to start moving the boxes out of the way for them to get through.
Yeah, Dirk's going to plant his torch down into the ground and, start moving the pair as well. Being quite careful as he peers on through, trying to look through any cracks or anything which appear in this sort of large mass.
Cracks in what, sorry?
Areas where he's able to peer through to.
Oh, right, through into the next section.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The tunnel carries on a little ways and seems to lead into a small kind of enclosed chamber as far as you can tell through the gaps in the boxes.
Yeah, and you're sort of happy that this thing does continue. He's going to try his best quite quickly, dismantle this large build-up of boxes and things.
Sure. Those of you who are dismantling boxes, please give me athletics checks.
Oh, shit.
14.
That's fine. This isn't necessarily that you can fail dismantling boxes. It's more kind of the time it takes, how loud it is, stuff like that.
11 for me.
11, 14. Okay. You make a little bit of noise. There's some grunting, some groaning, some breaking of certain boxes. But in general, you work fairly quickly and fairly efficiently to take the piles of rubbish and move them to one side, so giving you enough space to kind of move through single file without the threat of this wood collapsing on you at any time. The chamber this leads into is kind of a round one, perhaps 20 feet in diameter. And actually, as you step in, you look up and you can see that it's actually a lot higher than the chamber you came in from. So as the roof comes along, it kind of rises up in this chamber, creating a ledge ahead of you that is about 10 feet up. So a way forward, but it's higher up than you are. And obviously you can't see any further than that because you're right in front of the rock face.
Geronimo's gonna go to the boxes and, utilizing his tinker knowledge, is gonna see if there's any way for them to open it without sort of, causing damage or breaking locks and stuff like that.
There aren't really any locks on the boxes. The damage mostly comes from the fact that they're in poor condition, not from you trying to open it. But certainly you could grab a box that isn't as bad as the others and keep it relatively whole.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to try and he's going to go to one of the whole boxes and just try and peek inside them and see if he can open them and sort of have a look inside.
Nothing inside these boxes. They're all empty.
They're all empty.
Yeah, they all seem to be empty, at least these ones that you're checking.
Okay. Geronimo, sort of after checking, is going to look back to the others and goes, hey, there's nothing in here. I imagine they've probably been taken out and taken further into the cave.
I guess it's time we go further in then if these are empty.
For sure. And Geronimo is going to pull out his wrench and kind of flick it around in his hand. This appears to be his sort of getting ready just in case kind of preparation.
Are you wanting to try and find a way up to the ledge, or was there a way in deeper back where we just were?
Tara looks around, seeing if she can find any other way, or if it's just a ledge.
From what you can tell, it looks like a way forwards. Certainly the light's not reflecting back in any kind of way that would suggest that this is just a ledge for you to climb on and not go any further. This seems like the way forward. It just seems to be about 10 feet above you, that's all.
Seems this is the way here.
Well, looks like we're gonna have to try and climb up.
Why don't we use the boxes? Makes it easier.
They don't. I mean, there's a few of them that seem reasonable, but yeah, maybe. I know this one is, and Geronimo's gonna grab one of the boxes that seems to be sort of more stable and kind of shifts it towards the ledge. I guess the wall of the ledge. Kind of put it closer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't you give it a try, Hatsy? See if it buckles under your great weight.
No, thank you. And he'll proceed to try and climb up on top of it. How tall is this box? And you said the ledge isn't that big.
The ledge is about 10 feet high, and the box is perhaps 2 foot.
So with the two combined, I'm probably only a foot under it. So
yeah, you could jump that.
So he'll climb up on top of it and pull himself up onto the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
What do I see around?
So peering around, you have one of the rocks, don't you?
Yes.
And you don't have any innate dark vision, do you? No, okay. So using the rock to kind of guide you, you find that you're in a roughly kind of L-shaped tunnel, standing at that corner, if you will. So there's a direction off to your left and a direction ahead of you could go. Off to your left, as far as you can see, the tunnel kind of wiggles around naturally and then feeds into a very small chamber that you can faintly make out some light reflecting back at you, telling you there's probably a dead end down that way. Whilst ahead of you, the tunnel actually opens up much wider and you can begin to hear the rush of running water. It doesn't sound like the sea from before. It sounds like some kind of waterfall or something like that that's echoing down.
He walks back to the edge and lean over and go, it's quite easy to climb our way. It seems like there's some water down here, maybe a stream or something.
I'll be right behind you, and Band will walk up to the ledge, try and climb up, and then offer his hand down to say Durgus and Geronimo, as being a little smaller is going to be a bit harder to climb up.
Yeah, we can assume that everyone's climbing up unless someone tells me differently.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to struggle to climb up, but he will climb up indeed.
Cool,
No,
climbing
Alex,
up.
I will not climb up. Screw
Man.
you.
You
Dude,
sit down there by yourself.
If you'd like to split the party right now, then be my guest.
Please no.
Don't do it.
I will stay back
You
and I
heard
will
the
get
threat in
killed.
his
And you know
voice,
what?
though.
I'll be fine with it.
I will throw down any party splitting gauntlets that there are. Those of you who clamber up and do have some dark vision, or Durgus, who is carrying his torch, which has a further glow than the little rocks, will see that indeed the pathway off to your left leads into an incredibly small, kind of just naturally formed chamber, on the ground of which you can make out these very musty, fetid looking mats made out of what could perhaps be hay or thatch. They look a bit like very, very basic sleeping spots for people, and you can get this real acrid stench of people who have been living somewhere and not washing themselves for some time, though with the light that you've got, you can't see anyone actually in there.
Well, it could be smugglers or something, but this is really starting to, shape up.
Yeah, why don't we inspect that room over there and then make our way down the corridor?
Well, I'm not opposed to it. Lead the way.
Let's go then.
Geronimo, having suggested the idea, will in fact lead the way.
And Geronimo, you haven't got far to go. It's a very, very short walk into the chamber, and the chamber itself is not very large or far kind of long. It's the work of 30 seconds to pile yourselves into there and to get as snug as you can possibly be, as it is about 15 by maybe 20 feet. This kind of rounded chamber with, as I mentioned, a few sleeping spots on the ground. There's also a couple of barrels also stenciled with Palmer's provision on the side. One has been broken open, is just kind of these wooden chunks and shards. The other two have been cracked open at the top, but still contain what look to be a couple of water skins inside one of them. And the other one has these wet, kind of moist pouches of what was once dried fruit, but is now 100% very much rehydrating fruit.
Yeah. Geronimo's going to peer around and kind of prod through things with his wrench and goes, this just looks like supplies to me.
Very old supplies by the looks of them.
I don't think there's been many people here for some time.
Well, there must have been some people, because all these supplies, all the empty crates.
They might have abandoned it. I suppose we could look around, see if we can find anything to say where they are now.
Why, Palmer did say that it got dug up every time he dug it down, and he did it a couple of times a week, didn't he?
Well, some of those boxes are more recent than others, but maybe they've moved bases, or, maybe they
Maybe.
I don't know. We gotta find out why they left this place.
He said we head down the corridor.
Yeah.
Geronimo's
Yeah,
not
you know
going
what?
to take the lead now.
I'll go first this time. He says, taking his torch and stomping on forwards.
Absolutely. Stomping on forwards, you carry on down the larger corridor that widens slowly as the sound of running water begins to become much more intense. Eventually, the corridor opens in that kind of Y shape either side of you, and widens to reveal a pool of this dark, very dirty seawater. The stench of salt is heavy throughout the air here. It seems to run off of a sheer rock face that bows in front of you. From the top, the rock face is about 15 feet high, and water is cascading over it very gently. Further ahead, you can hear an even louder rush of water, suggesting there's a much louder waterfall further back than the one you're currently standing in front of. And give me a perception check, everyone.
Ooh.
Okie dokie.
That's a 21.
Ooh, 22, boys.
18. Too bad.
14? Oh, Brannon
Okay.
with the Ashton level rolls.
Yeah.
Brannon with an 8 doesn't see anything. Baron, Durgus, Natara, and Geronimo, basically everyone but Brannon, would
you.
notice just over the light of your stones and the torch, very, very faintly, kind of growing brighter and then dimmer, there is some kind of yellow light emanating from further up behind the waterfall. You can't see the source of the light, and it is very, very dim, which is why it required a perception check. But just this ever so slight change in the intensity and tone of the light, going from kind of just your light to that slightly yellow and then down again, suggests there is something glowing and then dimming.
Guys, see that over there?
Shh! Get down!
Geronimo gets down.
Maybe it's the cultists. Maybe they're still here.
Yeah, what is that?
Perhaps. Looks like a light or something.
Well, you know what light means. I mean, that's not natural in these sort of caves, right?
Well, no, unless it's a glowy bug.
Well, glowy bug or not, I suggest we, be a little bit more cautious from, heading out from this point on. Look, could you want me to tiptoe forwards and peek my head through the waterfall? Just see, what it is.
You go stick your head through that waterfall.
To be abundantly clear, in case I wasn't before, the light is emanating from above the waterfall, not through it.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you said behind. Okay.
No, sorry. But yeah, behind is in further back, not through it. Apologies.
Oh, that's fine, yeah. Okay, instead of sticking his head through the waterfall, Durgus would attempt to quite subtly make his way around, sort of tiptoeing, as he tries to sort of peer up, trying to get a little bit closer, squinting if he has to try and make out, where exactly or what exactly this thing was.
Working your way around the edge of the pool, trying to be as quiet as you can, I am going to need a stealth check.
Ooh. Alright.
Ruh-roh.
Oh my god, the rolls.
Oh, not good.
That's a 5, that's a 5.
That's a 5. So, yeah, you begin making your way around the edge of the pool, working your way one way quite quietly, and quickly able to find that unless you're willing to kind of climb up some of the rock formations that are on the edge of the cave, you're not going to get a view over. You decide to work your way the other side to the kind of right, work around the other way on the pool. And as you do so, you come to a similar conclusion. You're going to need to climb at some point if you want to be able to see above this waterfall. As you come to that conclusion, and just maybe as you're turning back to go and communicate this with your companions, you actually feel the ground underneath one of your boots begin to crumble, and there is a loud sploshing sound, very audible over even the waterfall, as one of your boots sinks straight down into the water. It's just that section of the floor gives way underneath you. The sound echoes for a moment in that kind of awkward silence where no one wants to do anything, because you've obviously just made lots of noise, and then it returns to silence again, and the light does not change in its kind of blinking.
Yeah, hearing making the large splashing sound, Durgus would freeze. He'd slowly turn over his shoulder, sort of peering towards the light, and seeing that it didn't move, he'd assume, these people either didn't hear it, or, maybe it's some sort of torch sconce. Who cares? They ain't attacking him just yet. He then quite quickly sort of waddles back towards the group. Sort of hurrying, trying to hush his voice, even though they were clearly given away now. Right, well, I think we're going to have to climb up if we're going to get up to, where the light is.
How tall do you think that is? That looks quite tall to me.
Well, I should be fine. I mean, I've got a rope and hands and...
Alex privately rolls.
Stop privately rolling dice.
It's so ominous. You just hear this little dice roll.
This is my favorite update of moving from Roll20 to Foundry, is that now my secret rolls tell you that I'm making secret rolls, and I love it.
That's awful.
We're crying on the inside.
Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about I go first? I climb up, I peep over the top, you lot are down below, just in case someone jabs me in the face with a spear or something, and then, we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. And with that, he reaches towards his back, pulling forwards a 50-foot spool of rope, hemp rope to be specific, and grabbing one end, sort of trails it quite awkwardly up as he sort of meanders his way back to the same area, and making his way, to this sort of more sheer cliff face. He aims to dig his hands and sort of clamber up, sort of trailing the rope behind him to, hopefully use it as a means to help the others get up after.
Okay, give me an athletics check, please.
Okay. Please. Oh, thank God, it's not the 3. It's not the 3. It's not the 3. It's the 23 instead. There you go.
Okay. So you kind of make your way forward, using one arm to trail the rope that you also use to shield your face as you begin this very slow but quite proficient show of strength as you manage to clamber your way up through the water that is running into your face. It's not particularly fast, so it's not like, it's not trying to push you off, but it does make the climb a lot more difficult, and you're forced to kind of use handholds, pause every now and again, and look for sections of the rock face that are beginning to taper inwards as a way to make that climb easier. Eventually, after maybe 10 seconds or so, you clamber your way up to the top, the rope still dangled safely over your shoulder and providing a very nice trail of rope for the others to use if they so wish, with you as the anchor, and find yourself in a fairly large sea cavern, stretching maybe 50 feet across, maybe up to 70 in places. It is rounded in shape, but kind of rectangular as well. It's longer on two sides than it is on the other. And the ground comes up to your knees with water. Through the water, you can see the gently swaying movement of long roots coming from some of the hardier plants that can survive in the seawater that grow up the sides of the walls. And in the center of this chamber, there is a plateau of rock, dark, almost granite-like rock that actually stands quite starkly against the rest of the kind of mottled sea rock that is here. Up this granite edifice, there is very obviously carved but worn steps that curve round the outside and rise up to, well, from your perspective, what is just a flat top, though that glowing that's becoming kind of more intense and then dimming in that yellow color is very obviously coming from something low to the ground on top of that rock. The loud waterfall that you could hear earlier appears to be on the far side of this room, with water running off in the opposite direction. And on one side of the wall, you can see a fairly loud channel that is bringing in a great amount of water and providing the source of the water that you're standing in and that runs off behind you and in front of you.
Okay. Right. Seeing this clearly, like a kind of creepy plateau with this strange sort of ominous yellow light atop it, he's gonna hunker down yet again, sort of lowering himself. As he is there any sort of like bundle of rocks or maybe like a sort of worn hole in the wall where maybe you jam his torch quickly?
I mean, you're surrounded by water, you could just put your torch out if you wanted to. Otherwise, there's a couple of alcoves and stuff where you could put stuff down, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's gonna sort of jam his torch into a thing and then realize, what, I probably don't want to be seen right now. So he takes him and dunks it down into the water, sort of letting it go. So I imagine those beneath could just see this like extinguished torch sort of flying over the edge as the water sort of pushes it off. He's then gonna ease back round and sort of lower himself, getting on his knees, which are sort of wet with the water now. He goes, "Right, there's some really strange stuff up here. Just come on, get up."
Yeah, and with that, Baron will start climbing his way up the waterfall.
Yeah,
Okay,
Durgus is going to hold the rope to try and help people get up.
Yeah, could Durgus give me a athletics check?
Okay. No, that's not bad. Okay, thank God. 19.
With a 19, you provide a fairly solid anchor for this rock to be, for this rope to be hung off of. And as Baron makes his way up, you kind of have to brace yourself, but you provide enough support for him to slowly clamber his way up without too much difficulty, as well as anyone else who might want to follow Baron.
Geronimo's going to go as well.
Just so I can double check, who's as far as it's Brannon and Natara that have the glowing rocks?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, having put out his torch and kind of cast himself in some shadow for a bit, Durgus, you're immediately illuminated again as Brannon and Natara come waddling up on the rope carrying their illuminated rocks.
Okay, yeah, and seeing him sort of waddling up on the rope, he'd reach forward to try and sort of snatch them out of each of their hands and sort of bundle them into their pockets or something, as they sort of make their way up, I imagine, onto the sort of plateau. He goes, just, I think we need to be, on the down low for now.
Well,
Nothing.
not everyone can see in the dark, you know.
Yes, well, I'm hoping they can't either. Because, there may be some fellows up ahead, and, I mean, do you see that? And he sort of points forwards with his big old pudgy thumb towards the strange sort of stark black plateau with the strange illuminated top.
How much do they see right now, Alex, since he took their rocks?
If you have put the light away, you are basically blind. You can just make out the kind of outline of the pillar of black stone that Durgus is talking about because of the light that's emanating from the top, but that light is dim and it's not illuminating the room at all. So for you, yeah, you are pretty much like walking blind.
Yeah, we can't see anything, Durgus.
What do you mean they can't see? Did you not eat your carrots when you were younger?
It doesn't
Carrots?
work like that.
Yeah, we can't see anything. All we see is blackness.
Hands them back. Just don't
Fine.
blame me if they start, firing stuff at us.
Well, otherwise we can't see. I mean, you're gonna lead us, like, blind around? Could be
Yeah,
a
I
bit
don't feel like
problematic.
I don't feel like being a babysitter. You was meant to be looking after me, not the other way around.
Well, I am looking after you, and you know what? You can look in the dark because you're relatively normal, and like these bloody surface dwelling lot. Look, let's go on forward, see what we can see.
After you.
And Geronimo's going to purposefully put himself behind Durgus.
He sort of exhales, rolling his eyes as he once more. He now actually brings forward one of his hand axes, raising it quite menacingly as he sort of stomps on forwards through the water, heading towards this rather strange black plateau.
Alex?
Is he there?
Apologies, I just realised I was muted. And I did just explain everything. Apologies. So Durgus is going up to there. Since we've been running again for about an hour, we will take a break in a second. So I think if we just end with who's going up onto the plateau and kind of what order are you going up?
I think, although not being able to see very well, Baron will try and kind of form a bit of a front line walking alongside Durgus.
Okay.
Just out of
Anyone else?
curiosity, how tall is this plateau again?
In the room, it kind of rises up to being about 20 feet high. But as I said, there are steps going up of it, so there's not like any climbing involved. You know those kind of wet steps you get in caves, or the ones if you've ever been on a holiday down to kind of like those seaside towns where they have those the feet passing over it. There's one of those sets of steps up the side.
Bannon will follow along, but he'll make sure he's
Yeah.
close to at least Geronimo or Durgus as he tries to.
Geronimo's in the back for sure.
So you're all going up, whereas Natara not.
No, Natara is as well. Yeah, she's going at the back with Geronimo.
Just
He's
disconnected.
really struggling.
What?
Yeah, right now the stream is just unpausing and pausing for me endlessly.
Yeah, it's like freaking the hell out.
Now we're offline again.
It's so cursed. It's so doomed.
What is going on? I don't understand.
And now Twitch hates us this evening.
We're live again. We're live. We'll see what happens.
Okay,
We're
good.
back.
Are we back?
We
Are
are
we?
back.
So
I'm
we're-
not,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
we're
switching
back.
scenes again. This
No,
is...
it's fine. We're back. You're not going to switch scenes ever? Okay, this is
No.
going to be interesting. That's fine. We are back. Apologies to those of you who are still with us. We're having a few technical issues. Luckily, none that plagued us last week, so all of our recording is still intact, but just some network stuff. Twitch apparently hates us. I can't prove that, so please don't sue me, Twitch. But we should be
Too
back
late.
now.
Too
Yeah,
late.
too late. That's it. We're gonna have some community strikes against us and whatnot. No, we should be back. We should be running. Everything should be absolutely fan-tabby-dozy.
It's not, is it? It's gone off again.
Names light up.
Yeah, neither am I.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the names are broken, but
That's fine. We're still live. We'll go with it as if we're still live.
we are.
Where we left off just before the break was with the group beginning to climb up this strange dark stone plateau that they had discovered in a sea cave. Whereupon there is some kind of glowing something they haven't quite seen yet. Kenneth, there was one thing I wanted to check with you. Everyone was making their way up.
Mhm.
Was Natara joining them, or was she
Yeah,
staying
she,
at the ground?
she
at the
was
bottom?
joining them with Geronimo.
Absolutely perfect. That answers every question I had, because now I would like you all for all of you to roll me some initiatives.
Oh,
Oh.
try. Where is the initiative?
It's a 13.
Closed fist.
Oh, there. Found it. Oh, wait,
Ooh,
hold on. Yeah.
15.
Open palm, not closed fist.
Ooh, Natara with the 16. Look at that. Oh, wait, I can see what we're fighting. Oh, okay, alright.
Sea hag and sea spawn.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait,
I
you
have
can
no
see-
idea what you're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, you can see
no.
it.
Yeah, if you click on the little fist. In fact, no, I won't tell you. Oh, shit. Never mind.
I mean, everyone's gonna look at it when you do it.
It's going to appear on there. It's all good.
Wait, wasn't that?
God.
Never mind.
So, as you begin climbing up the steps, double check I got my fight music on. I have. Beautiful. As you begin climbing up the steps, there is a brief moment as I need to briefly check your passive perceptions. We've got a 13, a 15, a 9, a 12, a 16. As Geronimo, Natara, and Durgus hear from off to their right the slight clatter of stones. Meanwhile, that leaves, I believe, Brannon and Barrand not hearing it.
Ye-
The clatter of stones heralds the charge of a creature you perhaps don't expect. As I bring you over to
It's the
said
headsman.
battle
Oh my
board.
God. Ah,
It's not the headsman. I am bringing you over to the battle board.
it's armor. Ah, oh my God. Ah, no.
Bringing you all over
I
to the
can't
battle
see.
board.
Oh, shit. Look at this. Oh, why is he so unhappy? Look at him, he's frowning. He's got a big old frown. I know people can't see this, but he's not very happy.
People can't see this.
They will-
And
I'm gonna try and switch scenes now. If we vanish, it's my fault.
we shall remember that. We'll blame Keth this time, not the viewers.
Yes.
Ah! But the the text isn't
Oh,
working.
I think it's worked. Yeah, we don't. Our icons aren't there.
Our icons aren't there, so our Discord thing has crashed. Okay, that's fine. We will play like this for now. We will sort it out in post, I'm sure, and we will get it fixed for next week. But we will play. We are here in our scene, standing atop here, and Geronimo, it's in fact your turn. All you know is something has just started moving kind of in the rocks ahead of you. You can't quite see it.
Oh, it's my turn.
It is
Okay.
your turn.
Okay. Something is moving in the rocks, and I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, that is the canon of this scene.
Okay. Ha.
Dude, there's big lore.
Let me have a thinky, majiggy. Alrighty, this is what I'm gonna do. Geronimo is going to, unable to see anything, and he can kind of pinpoint whereabouts things are moving, right? Or he can hear stuff.
You're aware that there is something moving ahead of you, like something large enough to maybe cause some rocks to skitter into the water and create that sploshing sound. Something large enough to do that.
So, but in terms of which direction, I'm saying, like here?
Straight ahead of you, no, down here, where this bad boy actually is.
Okay. So Geronimo hearing something is going to, with the wrench in hand, he's going to cast Firebolt and shoot it off in that direction. Now, have
So
I
you're
just
aiming to miss, or?
Well, I mean, the thing is, what I want to do, I can see this here in my field of
It
vision.
would have cover, but you could take a shot at it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot at it because either way, the plan is he wants to basically illuminate it with the firebolt, and then to see what's kind of like there, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, make an attack with me, and I shall adjust DC accordingly.
Okay. So I think I just click that.
Firebolt's an attack, yeah, so it's on you.
Yeah.
24 to hit, even with cover, absolutely. And there is a kind of shriek of pain from this strange, ghoulish, almost wispy voice as the firebolt seems to scorch against the skin of this creature. From behind the rock, faintly pulling up, is this kind of round humanoid face. Though as it pulls up, you can immediately tell something is not quite right with it. The skin is beginning to peel and fold away and just twist as if rotting off almost. Additionally, there are patches of the flesh that seem to have these strange mollusk-like creatures attached into it. And right at the very back of the skull, you can just see these faint, thorny spines, one of which is now darkened by the scorch of the firebolt. Anything else for your turn?
No, but Geronimo's going to go like, oh, geez, there was someone crazy, there's someone weird looking down there. He's going to leave his turn.
Okay, Natara, you also heard the same thing, just as Geronimo throws his finger forward to burn the creature.
Okay, then. Does she see it as well?
Yeah, you can see the same kind of outline of a beast.
Of a beastie. Okay.
Yep.
Then she will go and throw a chill at the beastie.
I believe that's a touch range.
Isn't
And
it?
if-
No.
Oh no, range 120 feet, you're all good.
Yay.
Okay, 121 to hit.
21.
Absolutely. Another. Oh, that's the ghostly hand, isn't it? Yeah. As you
Yes.
project your hand forward, the strange kind of skeletal ghostly hand would stretch out and arrive, slowly coming down and grabbing hold of it on the kind of shoulder and almost sinking in with this kind of cold burning sensation. Again, the screeching and hissing continues as it'll take damage. Anything else?
No. Nothing else.
Perfect, because Geronimo,
Oh no.
What?
from behind you,
No!
with little suggestion of what exactly it is that might be going on, I'm gonna need you to make for me if this sheet would damn well work.
3 death saving throws.
I need you to roll me a new character. No, I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
I have
Oh,
advantage on
God.
that if it's magic.
It is indeed magic, yes.
Hell yeah. Well, how do I do that? Do I just click? Oh, it already tells me, doesn't it?
Yeah, it asks you the question, and if you just say it's a saving throw, so it'll include your proficiency if you have it.
Ooh.
Doesn't even matter. I got 16
A
both.
16, okay. There is a pause as before your very eyes, as you're looking forwards, you seem to see these strange kind of purple glutinous things rise up from the ground towards you. These almost like hands that slop up and slide down towards you. You almost go to move, and then you stop for a minute as that kind of mental resilience kicks in, and you realize that you can faintly see through these things. This moment of disbelief seems to break whatever spell was on you, and you manage to kick it aside mentally before it's able to set in. This unfortunately doesn't prepare you for when you hear a shriek from behind you as an attack comes in for a 23.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That's not my. Yeah, that goes.
As a lithe, almost blue-coloured, feminine humanoid comes splashing round, these large, long-taloned hands swinging from side to side as she scratches towards the back of your neck, dragging her claws down and dealing to you 12 points of damage.
Oh my
12?
Yes.
What?
Geronimo's
Yes.
dead.
shit. Dude. Dude.
Those talons rake right the way down your
Oh
back,
my
piercing, really far and leaving these terrible gouges in your flesh. Brannon, you saw none of this coming, and you are surprised for this round.
Oh.
Durgus, you were able to at least realize the thing in front of you down here.
Thank God. Okay. Durgus, he'd be looking around, quite paranoid, and all of a sudden this strange, fishy man seems to jump up out of nowhere. Those behind him launch a flurry of bolts, and in his panic, he draws his second hand axe. He cries out, sort of gesturing towards the thing. It's like, "Fuck you! You done spook me, you fishy bastard!" As he aims to cast Hunter's Mark. Ooh, I don't know how this works.
Who you casting it on?
The dude just in front of me. Would you look at that?
Okay, that's fine. We're going to give him. Let's give him the net.
I don't actually know how
let's
I
give him the
post
eye.
it.
Don't worry. No, I know what Hunter's Mark does. You're all
Okay.
good.
Yeah. And
He is
yeah.
marked.
So, focusing on this strange fishy fellow in front, he's going to raise one of his hand axes and aim to cleave the fella across the chest. As I'm going to do a attack roll.
Oh,
It's 24 hit.
24.
Absolutely a 24 hits. So roll your damage, and I believe with Hunter's Mark you do an extra 1d. I want to say it's 6.
I think it's a 6. I'll double check it.
Yeah, double check with the dice. But I believe it's an extra 1d6.
Yeah, it's 1d6. 1d6.
Yep. And is this the bonus feature you get from Tasha's?
What's that? Sorry.
Are you using the feature you get from Tasha's, in which you get to cast? What I mean is that, are you casting your Hunter's Mark with a spell slot, or with the kind of you get this many uses?
I'll do it with the spell slot for now,
Okay.
because I'm not sure when the other one resets. I'll look at it between the thing, but yeah, I'll do it with the spell slot, and yeah.
Okay,
I'll,
yeah, just the d6 then.
Ooh, look at that. 9 with a extra 1d6, which is a 4.
So 13 damage. And I need to adjust that just slightly differently. Perfect. Okay, so you managed to cut into the shoulder of this creature, which is actually slightly below you as it was coming around. It wasn't quite able to get around quick enough before you noticed it. And so it shrieks out in pain as you cleave into the shoulder and begin to draw this dark, oily blood. Definitely thicker, almost like a syrup rather than the kind of just more aqueous liquid that normal blood is. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I think that's it for me. Yeah, he's going to sit there and just try and taunt him. It's like, come on then!
Baron, you are surprised.
Can't
Can't see.
see.
The sea spawn. The sea spawn is going to spend. It's going to basically spend all of its movement to clamber up, because climbing is difficult terrain, before turning its kind of strange, almost dead eyes between Mr. Brannon, Baron, and Durgus. And he is going to make... What's he going to make? He is going to make a strike against all three of you. Brannon,
no.
Baron, and if I just double check this one... And that one. Okay. So, Brannon, a 21 to hit.
Fuck.
I shall assume hits. Dealing 4 points of damage as you are clobbered in the side of the head. Baron, a 19 to hit.
It hits.
That is 5 points of damage as you then take a punch to the gut. And finally, Durgus, a 7 to hit.
I was about to call scuffed rolls, but you know what? I'm fine with that. No, it's not.
No, very, very scuffed rolls at the end. Yeah, so he swings out one hand at Brannon, one hand at Baron, and then he kind of leaps forward to try and bite down onto Durgus. But Durgus, you manage to pull yourself away as the others take 2 heavy punches. But that is the end of its turn. As we go back to Geronimo. Geronimo, this.
Hang on.
Yes.
Can I use a reaction to it moving close to me within 10 feet? Because it says I can.
What's the rule?
It says that when a creature you can see moves into a space within 10 feet of you or start its turn there, you can use your reaction to deal blah 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 damage.
What?
To
Yeah,
the
but what?
creature unless it succeeds a Constitution saving throw against your.
Is this a spell? Is a feature? What is this?
Feature?
What feature is it?
Halo of Spores.
Oh.
Halo of Spores.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. So what's the saving throw that I need to make?
Spell DC. Where do I even see my spell DC?
Your level, you can check on your
13.
spell book. It says at the top. And what saving throw is it?
It says. That also says Wisdom.
Wisdom? Okay.
Yeah. So.
You can do that. It rolled a natural 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it steps in and it doesn't hail those invisible spores that now begin to swirl around you. But they seem to have no effect.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sad.
Geronimo, your
Ge-
turn again.
Right, so just to clarify, I
Yes.
can, as an action, disengage, can't I?
Yes.
Perfect.
And that means no attacks of opportunity can be taken against you.
Fantastic. All right, Geronimo is going to, as an action, disengage. He does not
Mhm.
want to be face to face with this very disgusting looking thing.
I'd say that about a woman.
Okay.
Whoa.
He's going to use 25 of his feet
Mhm.
to back the fuck off.
Climbing up there.
Oh, is he climbing? This is climbing?
That
Oh,
was climbing.
shit.
The
Yeah,
stairs kind of follow the route you're going through.
Mhm.
So if you were to climb up there, that would pretty much be all of your movement.
Okay, well, I guess I have to go there, and I can't do anything else. So, wait, hold on. I don't have a bonus action. I don't think I can do anything with the bonus action.
Okay.
So that's it. That's my turn.
Natara, we're back to you.
Thank you. I'm going to take this quick opportunity to rejoin Discord. So the voice will just vanish a little bit to see if we can get those portraits up again. So 1 second. Did I get them back?
No.
That's a
No, I don't
negative,
think so.
but I tried my
I
very
think, yeah,
hardest.
no, you
No.
tried. I think stick with the session for now. We'll sort out all the
Right.
technical stuff afterwards.
Right, I shall cast Cure Wounds.
Who would you like to cast that on?
Geronimo.
Okay.
Yay!
Roll away.
Yay!
Ooh.
Oh, a 5.
Great.
Not too bad.
5 hit points back, Mr. Geronimo. I can add those in.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, whoops! I think I just applied it as damage.
Oh, what was happening? What is there a big thing?
It made me get a aura thingy apparently.
You can just hover over the center of that and hit delete, and it should get rid of it.
It deletes. And before I delete everything here now.
Yeah, in the very center there should be a little marker that lets
Yeah,
you
there
delete
isn't.
it. Then in which case you need to go to your measuring tools, and there's a little bin. So it's like clear templates. There you go. I got rid of it. Don't worry.
Thank you.
And there we go. I fixed your hit points there as well, Jake. So
Thank you very much.
no extra damage. But yes, Natara reaches over, rubs her healing hands all over you, Geronimo, and pats you on the bum so you can go on your way.
Geronimo is very pleased with the pat on the bum.
Anything else, Natara?
No, that's it.
Okay. Seeing the tiny prey start to escape, the almost scaly amphibious woman would begin to raise her hands before seeing what a perfect line you're all standing in.
Oh no.
No. No.
No.
Is this the lightning bolt? I actually think this is the same thing that I used. That
No,
one
if she
time.
has lightning bolt, we're dead. You wouldn't throw lightning bolt at us.
No,
way.
I'm
Not
fairly
level
sure this is
2,
exactly
surely.
the same thing that I
Would
used.
he?
This is 100% the thing I used in that one shot that one time. I'm pretty sure.
You are saying a
86.
lot. You are saying a lot of things right now, and I would like Natara, Brannon. Oh, I guess the sea spawn needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Deck.
I think it is. I think it is it. I think it is it.
No.
12
Oh,
Wait.
please be
and 18.
18.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see what we get. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do that. That's a lot of dice.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
no. Oh, it's nice though.
Wait, doesn't
There
this
is a crack of thunder
Oh,
Yeah, I told
God.
you.
as the lightning bolt blasts out of the hands of the hag, shooting up the steps. Natara, you're able to kind of throw yourself to one side and avoid the worst of it. You
Yay.
take 5 points of damage.
Oh,
You're going to need to do that one yourself because
obviously.
Brannon, you also throw yourself out of the way and take 5 points of damage. And the lightning bolt stops as it hits the middle of the chest of the sea spawn. His body going into this strange kind of flailing motion, arms flying from side to side as it shrieks out in horrible pain as the lightning courses through it for 10 points of damage.
Nice. It hit itself.
It hit its friend. And that is in fact its turn. Brannon, you are not surprised anymore.
Yay! Gavin, if you're saying something, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Gavin, you muted.
Since I was muted, okay. So he's first for his action gonna grab out his bullseye lantern that he's got and light it. It does say it's an action to use, and he's just gonna drop it on the floor, pointing in the direction where that lightning came from.
I mean, you should be able to see it.
Wait, what do you mean? I can see that now?
Can you see it?
Well, I have no vision, and you've been telling me I'm blind for this.
Oh, you have no. You should be able to see. It has
Oh.
vision. You've got light.
Oh, well, okay, in that case, then I guess I'll.
Yeah. What you can see on the battle board is what you can see because people have been activating torches and stuff.
Okay, I missed that bit.
I
In
can't
that
see
case,
it
then,
on my battle board, but I can see it on the stream's battle board.
That's cheating.
You can't see the he sag.
in that case, then I'll use magic missile.
Yeah, go for it. Where are your missiles going?
All three at the sea hag.
Ooh.
Okay. So, whoops, I rolled my own damage. What jokes? Okay, so 3 missiles flying out of the hands, straight into the sea hag. Womp, womp, womp. She kind of backpedals as it hits, but she almost seems to take it in her stride, recoiling as if to lessen the damage as it strikes. There's still definitely impacts, but it's not hugely impactful, if you will.
That's not great. And we ruled that I could, because of where I get my Misty Step from, I can still use that as a bonus action even if I cast a spell, right?
Did we?
Because it's innate, it's not a spell.
Oh, yeah, it's a bonus action anyway. So wait. Oh yeah, no, we said you could use an 8 skills.
And he's going to Misty Step the hell away.
Go for it. Away you go.
You fool.
Fantastic. Is anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Durgus. There's
Right.
just been a crack of lightning, and the boy that you were attacking has just been shocked.
How bad is he looking?
Pretty bad. There's your pretty large injury on his shoulder. Additionally, he's taken something of a beating anyway, and now this shock of lightning has left him kind of scorched and almost smoking. You have this strange kind of burnt cod smell coming off of him.
Ooh, okay. Fish and chips, let's go. Yeah, no. just exactly how far down is it? Like, would he realistically be able to get behind it?
Where you are, it's like 15 feet down.
Fucking hell, that's quite a bit. Okay, so it'd be 15, 5, and 5. And would I be able to like hit his bottom, like give him a body bap if I were to?
You could give your
Body
no, not with him at the top. You couldn't give him a body bap. You'd be way too low. Also,
Okay.
if you were to jump down and use your movement like that, you'd have to make an acrobatics to see if you didn't take damage.
Okay, I won't give him a body bap. Instead, he's gonna stay where he is and get a whack in angry dwarf style. As
Whack away.
Action, hand axe the bastard. Please don't be the one.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. And
Yeah,
then,
and that one is a
That
miss.
one.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
bonus action, offhand, swinging his little axe reel around. Oh my god! Okay, well, never mind.
A 9.
Um,
That is also a miss.
Yeah, well, you know what? He was just pretending to hit instead.
Yeah, so you make a couple of good strikes with the axes, but the creature managed to throw up its hands, and these kind of almost thick barnacle-like knuckles just deflect the blade, managing to resist the penetration of your iron.
Oily. Yeah, and then he's going to obviously having have his blades deftly deflected, or deflected, is going to try and move up here to try and cover his friendo Patronos from this sea fiend's attacks. And,
Absolutely, just
like
keep
that.
lining up.
Don't say
Baron.
Don't say that.
Realizing that his party's taken quite a beating, including himself, without even being aware, it seems. Baron quickly grabs his great axe and is going to reckless attack the sea man, if you will, in front of him.
Don't you want to rage?
Also, no, not yet. He's also going to use the Great Weapons Master feat as well for the -5.
Yep, so
plus
make an
some
attack,
damage
we'll take
effects.
5 off, and if you're working... do you need to be ranging for a reckless attack? I don't think so.
Nope.
No, you don't, you're all good.
No.
Go for it. So attack with advantage.
18.
An 18
no,
minus
yeah,
5 is 13.
13,
13 will still hit, so that goes up to 18 damage.
Big
And I can tell you with kind of a step back and then a swing forwards, there is a turn as the creature kind of senses the change in the air as the axe comes hacking downwards. There is a crunching sound of bone being rent apart as the creature is deftly beheaded in one single motion.
Oofies.
Damn, son. And would walking down the steps count as rough terrain, or?
No, steps are fine.
Okay, in that case, he's going to wander down the steps, just trying to provoke the sea hag, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
And that'll be my turn.
Speedspawns dead. Geronimo. One
Alright.
enemy down. One worse enemy remaining.
Back to Geronimo. He's going to step. Oh fuck! If I want to go over to Brannon, is that all on the same plateau?
Yeah, you're all on the same layer with Brandon right now.
Perfect. All right, Geronimo's going to walk over to Brannon, recognizing that his very hat wearing friend is in a lot of trouble. He is going to touch him in a nice way and cast Cure Wounds.
Oh, look at that.
Now, how do I do this?
I think if you just click the dice for cure wounds, it should roll automatically.
Yeah, it should.
Oh, there we go. First level, cast. You get 7 healing.
Absolute
Oh.
bait.
There you go.
And as he does so, he touches him, gripping onto that wrench, and then kind of gives him a thumbs up and goes, you're going to be okay, Hatsy, I got you.
Certainly he does have you as we go to Natara.
Natara is going to cast another chill touch.
Roll an attack.
Evil creature. Oh, what was it? 14?
14 will just about hit, and so another ghostly hand appears from Natara's own, peeling off and then shooting through the air before latching onto the shoulder of the wretched female figure. It sinks in again with that kind of strange cold burning, though rather than screams, this time you just hear almost an annoyed kind of clicking sound from the back of its throat.
God.
Not like a chicken, no.
And then she's
Anything
gonna,
else?
Yeah, she's gonna move over here. I can figure out how to move myself. Here, yes.
Perfect.
So we're not completely clumped up together, since that seems to be a bad idea.
That is a bad idea, it's true. Perfect. As we get to the Sea Hag's turn, it is going to... It is going to step forwards. 1, 2... That would then take 20. It can clamber its way up to here. Baron, you can take a reaction attack of opportunity if you'd like.
Heck yeah.
Go for it.
I would also like to use it.
You can do that, so you can do that in a second.
For a 22 for
22 on the hit, so 14 damage. We'll take that off there. So a good cleaving strike into the side of this thing as it kind of almost spins off slightly as it carries on running, darting kind of just past Durgus as it comes to within range. It has now it started its turn within 10 feet. Natara wants to use her reaction. You said it was a wisdom saving throw, didn't you?
Yes.
It rolls...
I rolled a nat one.
Well, it rolled a 14, so it doesn't even matter. It seems unaffected by the spores.
Sad.
Happens to the best, but as it gets there, it suddenly turns, its body twisting, as if almost being puppeted by something bigger than itself, in that kind of jerky motion. Suddenly the hair springs out away from its face as these awful yellow eyes glare out at all of you, its mouth curling back to reveal almost shark-like teeth, as it's going to use its horrific appearance. So, every single one of you needs to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Got advantage on
Is this
those.
magic?
This is not magic, no.
I think I have advantage on a lot of wisdom saving throws.
All
Not bad
wisdom
for me.
saving
I
throws.
think so.
I'd check the feature.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No.
Yeah,
I've got a 14.
My
it
rolls
says,
is better.
all of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Do it.
How do I do that
Actually
with
broken
advantage?
raise.
Just roll the
It-
saving throw. It should roll both dice.
yeah.
Okay, so we've got a 21, an
21.
18, a 6, a 14, and a 15. So Durgus, this is in fact the only one it affects.
Sad.
Idiot.
You find yourself terrified by the appearance of this creature. Absolutely horrified. This is the worst looking thing you have ever seen. And you are now frightened of the creature. There you go. You get a little screaming man to signify that you are afraid.
Be
You're
afraid.
afraid of this.
I mean, if anything, I could see her like ass from my position, so I just see that and like, holy shit, what's going on?
yeah,
This is
you
a
aren't
scary
sure.
ass.
You aren't sure what to feel. But maybe you'll feel something slightly different in a minute because it's also going to turn around and try to stab you.
Oh, very nice of it.
Nice. How nice.
Yeah, I should double check. I don't think frightened. Yeah, frightened doesn't have any effect on its ability to hit you. It's only you hitting it. Oh, but you are a lucky boy this day because it only rolled a 13 to hit.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Yeah, so she slashes out with her claws, and although you're afraid of this thing, that almost causes you to flinch aside as she tries to go for you. But she nothing doing, and it's to your turn, Brannon.
I am. Brandon's going to turn and also cast another magic missile. Because why not? 11.
Fantastic. Another thump, thump, thump. As yet more force damage strikes into almost the spine of this creature whose arms splay out either side. You can now see where your missiles are impacting. The beginning of these deep, almost violet bruises showing a huge deal of almost internal damage that has been caused by these magic missiles.
And that's the end of my turn.
Durgus, you're pretty damn afraid, dude.
Dude, he's very spooked. He's never seen a woman before, never mind a crazy sea hag like this. No, is this the one where I have to run away, like my full...
You don't have to run away. You can't willingly move closer, but you can't be any closer, so that's not really an effect. And you
Okay.
have disadvantage on pretty much everything whilst you can see it.
Okay. Right. Well, Durgus, seeing this vile, withered hag, it's almost strange. Is it scaly, or is it just like slimy and rotten?
Both. Definitely some scales under there, but there's also this strange kind of see-through slime, like a jellyfish.
Yeah, no, he never signed up to be dealing with this sort of crazy, undead, slimy, rotten thing. So he is going to flail out with both his hand axes, just trying to get this thing away. As I'm gonna action attack with my normal hand axe at disadvantage, isn't it?
Yeah, but even with a 19, you are 100% hitting, so I'm gonna need some damage.
Okay. Oh, yeah, shit. I was gonna use my bonus action to move the hunter's mark to it as well. If that's all right.
Okay, yeah. Remember to call it out first next time.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. No, you can have it. It's all good. New class.
Yep, and then he's gonna do the attack. Oh, never mind. I'm just rolling again. I'm gonna do damage. There we go.
19 already hit.
4.
7. Add another d6.
I'll do a d6, and then I'll use my feature, which is favored foe. Ooh, fancy Natasha's stuff. Which I don't actually know how to post this. How do I post?
Is this the bit that does extra damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that only happens if you use the Tasha's feature to cast Hunter's Mark. That's why I was asking at the beginning.
You can call him including when you mark it. Oh, so you can do it. Oh, okay, so you can do it separately. Sorry.
right.
If that's the case, then yeah, no, I'll just do the 1d6.
6.
Roll
Big
crap.
rolls.
Right.
Even so, another solid hit from the axe that causes a great lesion to open up down her arm as she pulls it back almost viciously, the same arm that she just struck out at you with.
Yeah, and then offhand, he takes his other axe and goes for another whack. Well, I don't think this one's going to hit. This is 12 hit.
Not with a 12, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and then because he can't really do anything, he's going to sit there still cowering, continue to sort of flail. It's like, get back, you bloody hag!
Does not look like she wants to get back as she just kind of hisses and leers in your face as if she's winning. Baron, is she winning? Why don't you show us whether she's winning or not?
Let's do some big damage, or completely miss. Baron marches back up the steps after his attempt at provoking the hag was failed,
Yes.
and is just going to do another reckless attack with the fancy Great Weapons Master.
Go for it. Make that roll with advantage.
Ooh,
21 to
Oh,
hit.
lucky.
Would be a
Dealing 15
16
damage.
Yeah.
And Baron, how would you like to do this?
Oh,
Yes.
I think you just killed me. I think marching back up the steps, great axe in hand, he kind of just walks past Durgus, not thinking much of it, before dragging the axe along the floor and swinging it over his head, cracking into the top of hers. Cutting down that nasty lady.
And there is a loud ka-thunk right in front of you, Durgus. The fear is gripping your stomach, and... Oh, whoops, I think I killed Baron. Whoops, wrong person I killed. There we go. As Baron kind of shimmies behind you and manages to get to the other side of the hag, you're still kind of darting and diving out of the way of those claws, just as you see a flash of steel, the axe coming round in this vicious arc, hitting right into the base of the skull, not quite at the neck, a little bit further up, and then just resting hard and solid as the whole body goes stiff and stretches out, the nerve endings being totally severed from the rest of the body. And then it just relaxes and is held up purely by the strength of Baron holding his axe in the skull of this thing. And you guys have just won. So I think we can jump back to our RP screen.
Yeah. There we are.
That was
I have
interesting.
no idea what you're talking about. I take inspiration from nowhere but my own originality.
Of course.
None of these ideas have originated anywhere but my brain.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, you now stand atop this kind of small plateau of rock, looking at these two quite obviously mutated naval corpses. The seaweed, the barnacles, the limp kind of shellfish that cling everywhere, the scaly skin, the spines. It all gives this strange, especially in this atmosphere, this strange aquatic vibe coming off of their bodies. Additionally, now that you're stood around the top, you can see that in the center of this kind of plateau, there is this small, gnarled, almost nest that appears to have grown up naturally from some of the roots that come down from the plants that sit in the rock formations. Inside of those roots, there are two things. The first thing is a small totem. It is a bone handle. It looks like maybe a femur. It's quite large. That at the top has been chopped away, and tied to the top of it is this deep, dark iron symbol. It seems to be an eye with a single pupil, and from behind it there is a multitude of tentacles. Additionally, next to this totem, there is a book on top of which, embossed in black ink, is the same symbol, and written underneath in quite fanciful gold writing is the word maelstrom.
Yeah, and I think lifting his axe up and kind of just kicking off the body that hung from the end of it, Baron would step closer towards the nest, picking up the totem in hand and looking towards the book. Seems we've got some kind of, I don't want to call it an artifact, maybe a trinket of sorts, and a book, and he'd lift the book up and just kind of hold it out to anyone.
As you take a hold of the book and the totem, I would like a wisdom saving throw, please.
Oh, God.
Nice.
Oh, no. Ooh. 16?
A 16? There is a pause as your eyes suddenly haze over this milky white. For everyone else, you just kind of vanish for a few seconds, about 5 or so. For you, you suddenly find your consciousness thrown back into this strange, dark soup. Around you, there is this kind of pitch black darkness, but it's distorted ever so slightly. Have you ever seen water when people put ink in it?
Yeah.
It's that same kind of effect, but imagine you just thrown in very dark kind of black and purple inks, and it begins to swirl all around you as if you're almost sitting in this moving environment. For a moment, there's nothing, and then crawling forwards out of the ink, you begin to see these long, stretchy arms, humanoid in nature, that begin to pull and haul this almost gargantuan, bloated form into vision. At first, it's almost impossible to comprehend what this form could be. But very, very vaguely, as your mind tries to realize what's happening, you begin to pick out that it seems to be this great singular eye. It's not repulsive, it's almost entrancing in its total enigmatic complexity. And just as you begin to see that kind of form that it is, you find yourself suddenly returned back to where you are. And I haven't told anyone to do this before, but on your sheet, under your resources, I'd like you now to put Insanity 1.
Everyone?
No, just him. Just Baron.
New mechanics. New mechanic.
New mechanic dropped on the players.
Oh, damn.
Yep, just Insanity, and you just have 1.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so those for the rest of you, those 5 seconds kind of pass. He goes kind of this vague, hazed over, not really sure what's going on look, and then he comes back.
Yeah, and I think coming back to, there'd be a big gasp for air before dropping both items back into the nest. Did anyone... No, did you see that?
What, you were picking up the totems?
This thing...
What thing?
Big eye, long arms.
What, this bloody thing? And he goes...
You mean the
sort of
thing on the
kick the head.
floor?
No. This was much bigger. I don't know what you intend on doing with these things, but be careful.
Brannon will walk up, and has he dropped the book on the floor?
I was like, I imagine he'd have his hands still over the nest where he picked them both up. So he would
Okay.
just drop them back into the nest.
Was it when you touched this, or that, or what?
Picked both of them up. I was going to pass one of you the book, but...
Wait, let me just... he's just going to place his hand on the book alone.
As you touch the book, you get this strange kind of sense, that same feeling one might have if they were standing alone on a desert island. The kind of sense of solitude, the spray of the sea, the sound of waves and seagulls, and then it passes.
He's then going to remove his hand and taking like some cloth out of his bag from... he doesn't really have that. Maybe his hat again. It's useful. And picks up the book with his hat holding it and goes, better not touch this. It feels weird.
What about the totem?
I don't know what to do with that.
Well, look, if they're weird and corrupted or something, then sure, just destroy it.
Not actually be a bad idea.
Wait a moment. Like, maybe it'll be some use. Maybe it'll actually give us some clues. It's a book, right?
I can... At least this I understand, he says, looking at the book. But that... I don't know. Do you want to try and move it?
Baron would once again reach out towards the totem. This time, it's very similar to how Brannon did, just pressing his hand against it first.
Just the totem?
Mhm.
As you reach out and take a hold of the totem very briefly, you get this odd sinking feeling as if the world around you is rising up and swallowing you whole, and you can't breathe for a moment, and everything's starting to become dark and dim, and then it passes ever so gently into this ever-present sick feeling at the pit of your stomach.
Just a bit of an odd feeling.
Yeah, maybe the plan is not to touch the both of them together.
Possibly. I wouldn't advise prolonged touching of either.
Look, did it send you into some sort of crazy dream state or something? I mean, wait it out for a second, but... And he sort of waddles forwards and peers over the book, sort of quite nimbly stepping over the strange sort of hag-like creature, clearly not wanting to get nearer. Look, what do you think we should do? I mean, we can't read this thing. Surely it's, probably got some strange, crazy magics in it.
Well, open it then.
And did you say it said Maelstrom on the front, Alex?
Yes, written in kind of gold lettering. It's faded and chipped as if this book is well worn. It's kind of a large leather-bound tome tied up with what could almost be like rigging rope. But on the front, quite clearly written across it, it says Maelstrom.
Yeah, he sort of grabs it in his hands. I imagine getting the same feeling as before.
Say that again, sorry?
What were you taking?
The book.
Brannon will just kind of... he's still holding it in his hat, in his hand. And goes,
okay.
Wait. Let's just get it back. Maybe we can look over it more protectively. I don't want to open it here. What if it does something like what it just did to him?
What if it does something like that when we get back?
Might at least, take our time before we just whip it open and unleash something.
Look, if they'd unleashed something evil, then surely they would have done that already. I mean, look at them. They're vile and rotten or something.
Aye,
Look,
true.
What if the book did that to them?
Oh, look, I've
Open the book.
handled the fancy books in the past. It shouldn't be that bad. I mean, it doesn't say like
Give it
death on
to
the front or
me,
something.
and I'll open the book.
Fine, just give me a minute. And he's going to place it on the floor, and he's just going to take out his quill again and use the quill to open it.
Okay, so ignoring Natara asking for the book is opened before you onto the first page. There appears to be some lettering in black ink. From a distance, it seems to say at the top, "First cry of the risen," and then it's written a bit small, so you probably need to pick it up and actually look at it.
All in common?
Yeah, it appears to be in common.
Well, fine. I guess you can have a look then. Go ahead, Natara.
Atara's gonna walk over and pick up the book, look into it.
So the first page is hastily scrawled out with a very short message. As I said, the title is First Cry of the Risen. And it reads, "It roils beneath the surf. It stirs within the deep. It watches from under waves and makes the wives of sailors weep. Before the age of divines, in the primordial matter, twisting and folding magic, the wheel of time did shatter. Heaving and hulking below, listening but never aware, we call to you, great Ulcraw, and our souls for you we declare."
Oh my
I'm
god!
just having a
You
moment
fucking
right here,
bastard.
right
You
now.
fucking
I
bastard.
thought it was that when I saw the eye, and I was like, "Don't say it, don't say
And if you will now check in your journal,
it."
I believe you should now be able to access part 1, which I just read to you.
Ooh.
So
But yes, that's basically what the first page reads. Underneath it, there is another drawing of that same eye symbol, and that's just the whole first page. A lot of empty space on the first page.
I'm happy right now. You don't know how happy I am.
That's right. Don't worry. We'll find Anna out of super hell.
That's what I was going to say. This gives me hope. It gives me hope. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
We're going to get there.
Well, if we like, we have we're coming into our last hour, so we could take one more break,
Yeah.
just for a couple of minutes this time, maybe not the full 10, and come back after the players have stopped circle jerking about last campaign.
Yeah, sorry.
Probably
This
say something.
this was
As-
my character's storyline in the last campaign, who tragically died and we didn't get to see. So happy.
Yep. Tata.
Do it, Gavin.
I don't want to hear it again. I don't want to hear it.
Are we on break or not? I don't know.
No.
You know what's happening?
I got-
Are we not?
Hello and welcome back again for the last time this evening. We have just returned after our very short break to the culmination of the fight scene and the beginning of the cave scene, I guess we call this, with everyone having just basically poked the archaic eldritch abomination artifacts to see what they do, and then opening the Pandora's book, which in fact wasn't Pandora's box, to see what it said. There was then obviously momentary thinking about my headcanon and my homebrew world, which made me very happy as a GM who spends lots of time sitting on his own just writing stuff about his own world that people will probably never find. And we come back to, what perhaps the next plans are, discussion of what you've just discovered.
So did someone read that aloud, or was it just Brandon?
Well, that's what could be, because the book was on the ground in the kind of between all of you, so that's what could have been read.
Assume that Natara read it out loud.
There you go, and then you can assume Natara read it out loud. So you all heard it, and it's all now in the journal of the players for them to read at their leisure.
Some sort of poem or something?
Poem?
Something about Ulcro? What was the name?
Ulcro?
Maybe something to look into?
Maybe
I
it's
think I
one
had
of
a
them...
cousin with that name.
A cousin?
Well, there's
What do you-
something.
They did say, the old folktale was that they pissed off some kind of sea god or sea gods.
Well, apparently he did strangle someone to death, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Either way, it sounds like a pretty scary name.
Maybe we should ask around, although to be fair, we haven't had much luck in the past with that.
Oh, we could always ask, Couldn't hurt, could it?
Someone might know something, even if it's just a story.
Well, maybe not, but... I mean, where do we go from here? I was expecting to find the adventurers, but, there's no real sign of them.
No. What about that totem? Are we just going to leave it here, destroy it, or
totem?
what?
No, we should take that with us as well, surely.
I'd like to take it with us if we can.
I think
Not
at
showing
least
off.
to be protective, we should keep them separate. So if I take the book, someone else should take the totem.
If it invaded Baron's dreams, or you would put him in a dream state, I can't dream.
Wait,
You tried
what?
eating cheese before night?
It wasn't necessarily a dream, it was more a vision.
Well, if it was a
mo-
dream state, I can't dream, so it can't affect me in that sense.
Well, no, clearly it's some sort of magic thing. Just because you don't have many dreams don't mean that, this thing could mess with your mind.
You don't understand. I don't dream.
What do you mean you don't dream? Is it just a case of you haven't before?
Well, no, but I can't.
Okay, this is definitely something to discuss later. However, for now, can we at least just agree person carrying totem, don't carry book at the same time?
Very
My
well.
God.
You're the one carrying the book, so just don't pick up the totem, alright?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, well, if that's the case, I guess, we should, and he sort of peers down towards the actual sort of fishy creatures themselves. Did they seem like they maybe used to be human or something? Or are they just, more beast?
They definitely appear humanoid. However, to say what kind of humanoid that is would be difficult. You wouldn't assume an orc or something like a bugbear, something quite large and wide. They didn't have that about them. But honestly, they could have been elves, they could have been humans, they could have been tabaxi, any of those kind of medium-sized humanoid creatures. They're so far distorted from normal-looking beings that there's no way of saying which race they were originally. But that's the rough kind of size estimate.
Are they
Maybe.
wearing anything? Or is there anything on them? Or is it just skin?
Tattered scraps and remains of clothes, closer to a kind of a loincloth than maybe just the scraps of a tunic are left. It's clearly clothes that they have long since stopped caring about.
Maybe this is what happens to those people that was growing barnacles.
Maybe. That does seem like, I wouldn't say logical, but it seems like it's a good path.
Because these have barnacles on them, don't they? He leans over one to just Get a better look.
They've got some of them have got barnacles in patches. Other sea creatures seem to cling to other parts. The sea hag appears to have what looks like a hermit crab that's kind of crawling through its hair right now.
Hmm.
There's no chance any of those tattered remains have any pockets on them, is there?
Nothing like pockets, no.
I thought I'd ask.
They're barely even clothes. They couldn't form pockets at all.
Hey, I didn't want to miss something.
Cute
That's fair
sea
enough. I
creatures.
respect that. I would like to loot the corpses.
Butcher them for organs if need be.
It
No,
takes the whole corpse with them.
We've done it
well,
before.
either way, they're strange. I don't really like them. But if they're turning people into these things, then I guess it's cause for concern. But I mean, there's got to be something which actually does it. I mean, maybe this is just one of their outposts. I don't think this. Well, it doesn't really strike me as some sort of large, menacing lair.
Well, it's clearly magic, whatever's turning them, and whatever's connected to this totem and this book.
If I'm honest, it's up on this pedestal. It has the stairs leaning up, and all of this was just placed here.
It's like
If
an
anything,
altar.
this seems it's an altar or a
It's
shrine.
an altar. Like sacrifice, maybe.
And
It's
what? Sorry, what is actually causing the light, Alex? Like from
The light
the-
appears to be emanating from the roots themselves. They kind of faintly have these veins of very pale white matter that runs through them, and those veins around this altar space are slowly brightening and then dimming, brightening and then dimming. It seems to be a natural occurrence from within the roots and the plants.
Now, Natara, you know a lot about plants and things, don't you? Do you know what that is?
She'll lean down and like touch it, maybe like see if she can like pick up one of the vines a little bit, inspect it
Yeah.
a bit further.
Give me a nature or an arcana check, your choice.
Roll. Where is it? Blind. There it is.
That is a nat one.
That is a nat one. I've never seen life.
You know of plants that are bioluminescent. You've studied enough of them yourself. But why exactly it would be behaving like this, especially if the colours or the light is changing, you're not really certain. There could be a number of reasons. It could be magical, it might not be magical. There's still too many questions. You can't get enough data from just looking at it the way you have.
It doesn't really tell me much other than what some plants are bioluminescent, but I think there's a spell that you can talk to plants. You should learn it.
Well, maybe for another time. I mean, clearly this is evil and culty, and I must admit I don't really like it, so he sort of reaches down and pulls forward his tinderbox and already starts to sort of scrape the flint against the steel as he sort of nears the root of this thing, clearly quite quickly trying to set it alight.
Whoa. Maybe it's connected. These are roots. It could be connected to the entire cave, and you could put us all on fire.
Well, I don't aim to stick around long. I'm not sure about you. And you
But
see the
let's-
scraping of tinder getting louder and louder.
Let's just fine, just burn it and let's go.
And before Durgus can successfully get it lit, Baron leans forward to the nest once again, pulling out the totem and looking over to Brannon. So, you take the book, I'll take this.
Yeah, so I'll have a closer look at that later. I've got some things I can do to maybe find out something about it.
And with that as well, he will look around on the floor specifically for the decapitated head of the sea beastie.
Yeah, you can absolutely grab that. It's kind of this
and-
weird horn thing.
Yeah, he's going to take it. And probably just try and find a way to like fasten it around his belt or something.
Are you going to show that to the henchmen?
It's proof of what we slayed.
I think we should show it to the henchmen.
You mean the headsman?
Oh, that's one. Yeah. What did I say?
Hench.
To be
maybe
fair,
it's the same thing. To be fair.
yeah, I was about to say he does act like a bit of a henchman for that barber lady.
No wonder I just mixed it up.
Yeah, Geronimo's going to give her a big old thumbs up. Kind of like, yeah, agreement.
Yeah, agreement.
Mm.
Okay, anything else?
No, I think we're just heading back.
Yeah, so I'm able to light this thing on fire, then.
Oh yeah, if you'd like to, yeah, if no one's stopping you, then it takes a few it takes a few scrapes, and you can start to kind of begin to get it to ember, but the root is pretty damn wet and soaked. Like, it's not going to catch very well. You need something dry if you're going to actually set this thing alight. Like, you can kind of start to burn and ember certain bits, but it just smokes up. It's far too damp to catch a light the way it is.
Well, if it's too damp to catch a light, he's going to try this for a bit, then go clearly quite angry. Sort of pocket the tinderbox before grabbing his hand out as he peers at it, and he peers toward the nest and just starts hacking at the thing.
Yeah, there is no resistance whatsoever. You end up kind of working for about 20 seconds, and by the end you have these just kind of chewed up, moist remains of what was once root.
Right, well, with that handled, and he sort of bats his hands together, putting the axe away. Let's get out of here.
And with that, you turn and make your way back through the cavern, remerging onto the opening, giving you that fantastic view out across the sea. You have to cover your eyes with the immediate return of that bright sunlight that can sting after so much time spent in a cave. But quickly adapting once again to life outdoors, you guys can return back to Storia. As you do so, you see that there is something slightly different about the village now. Firstly, the few fishermen and a little bit of kind of business that was there before is gone. There is nobody out in the streets as far as you can tell. Additionally, you can see that there is a ship now docked just out to sea. It is a fairly narrow, quite small sailing ship with 2 masts and almost ink black wood. The thing looks old, but well used and fairly well put together. And in fact, there is a small rowing boat rowing back towards one of the jetties as you approach the final decline into the village proper.
The Tara are gonna perk up a little bit and look out to the boat. Bit like wistfully thoughtful.
So
he's gonna focus a bit more on the rowing boat actually coming towards them. He's gonna sort of quite quickly waddle his way up towards the jetty. He's just standing there watching this rowboat, trying to make out who exactly was guarding it. Sort of peering back, he shouts over his shoulder, "Can you not see anyone else? Well, what's with this big old boaty thing?"
Has the town been attacked?
On the boat, there appears to be 4 figures slowly coming into view. 3 of them seem to be adorned in long robes with hoods pulled up over their heads, though one of them you pick out as having a very long ponytail of black hair.
Is that a ponytail of black hair we recognise?
It could be. You have met someone who has a ponytail of black hair who likes to shave people.
She have horns.
She very well might.
Geronimo's gonna grab the nearest person and go, "Hey, maybe we should try and hide."
Hide and listen?
Yeah, just like let's duck behind somewhere and try and stay quiet.
What, like beneath the jetty?
Yeah,
Why
maybe.
not?
Why not?
Is that what you guys are doing?
Good.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're hiding.
Yeah,
why
we're
not?
doing it.
Can I get some stealth checks from everyone then, please?
It's not gonna go well.
As a party, this goes very, very well.
Almost a nat one. A
I
5.
believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of your heart.
Seeing a lot of nat ones.
Oh,
Luckily not on anyone's primary roll.
I got
But,
an 8.
we have a 5 from Natara, a 12 from Brannon, an 8 from Baron, a 12 from Durgus, and a 6 from Geronimo. Overall, not a
Durgus.
particularly stealthy party.
I'm so good at this.
So there is kind of there's that pause as you guys agree to go under the jetty, and then there's that splashing and the kind of sound of you guys landing in the very shallow water that just laps up against the sandbank that's under the jetty. You have to kind of squish down, not kneeling down and not kind of crawling under, but kind of hunching your head down to avoid bashing it on the planks above. As you do so, you wait for a moment as you can see the hull of the small rowing boat pull in aside the jetty. Then it moves as you hear people stepping onto the jetty. And then you can hear the low thud of people walking along the jetty. It's quite loud, lots of thudding, multiple people getting closer and closer. And as they kind of get relatively close to where you are, the sand begins to shift underneath you, and a number of you kind of stumble in the water as a big wave comes in and crashes against the shore under the jetty. There's a pause as all of the feet above you go very, very quiet. And then a single voice. Who's there?
Durgus would call out, trying to do his best seagull impression, to try and send her off the scent.
Mike, mine, whatever.
Mine. No,
Give me a
I would do it.
Are you gonna actually try a seagull impression?
Do it.
Fuck
You know
it,
what,
do
why
it.
not?
Do
I've
it.
committed.
Give me a performance with
I
disadvantage.
believe in a thing called love. Just limb to the rim of my heart, and it's on it now. Oh no.
Those are quite good.
An 11?
Oh.
Oh, okay, they're all right.
You make an awkward squawking noise. It's not bad. It sounds more like a chicken than a seagull, though. And there's a pause before. What? Get out here! Whatever you are doing.
Geronimo's going to try and like push Durgus out.
Nice.
Durgus apparently being, he was going to head out anyway, so he sort of, as he's pushed, he's like sort of giving a little bit more momentum and puts the foot forward to stop himself stumbling. As he sort of walks out, either look up onto the jetty, like who exactly does he see?
As you step out and turn around to look up onto the jetty, you can see Felia standing there, hands on her hips, as she stares down at you with this very disproving look. Either side of her, there are 4 individuals dressed in matching black robes with pointed shoulders, each of them wearing a mask that appears to have 4 tendrily tentacles coming up at the side.
Well, that's not suspicious.
Not conspicuous at all.
Neon sign. Anyone?
Look, I was doing some spot of crab hunting. You want to join?
There is no response from any of them. They just stare at you.
Right.
And
And then he'd pull forwards an axe. He goes, look, I know you're up to dodgy stuff, alright? I'll throw this, and believe me, I'm a good shot. Tell me now what that bloody boat doing here, and what you're doing with those funky masks.
Felia looks round as if she's only just realised she's with people who have masks on. But them? They're here to escort you to the boat. That's why it's here for you.
hearing that from above, Baron is gonna step out from underneath the jetty as well, axe in hand, but perhaps not in like a combat-ready stance. What do you mean the boat for us?
You're going to get on the boat, and we're going to take you away.
He kind of just narrows his eyes, mainly in confusion. But what? Why?
Because that's what my orders say.
From who?
From those who matter.
The headsman?
He matters.
Oh, so this is your sort of overlord who's been commanding you to kill people, that sort of thing.
Why not? She starts smiling very sweetly.
But you're not even gonna, refute that. You're a very bad sort of cult leader,
She leans forward as if saying this quite secretly between the two of you, though she speaks loud enough for everyone to be able to hear it. And you're trying to make me reveal things that I'm not going to reveal. So you keep saying things and I'll keep agreeing. And the truth will remain out there. And she just kind of waves her hand generally in the air around her.
Looking towards Does she have any markings on her similar to the ones on the totem in the book?
Absolutely none.
Okay.
Brandon will step out as well and go towards the front and go, look, why do you want to take us away?
You on the boat?
Yes.
Yes, she repeats back at you.
What if we
You're
don't
not.
want to
Are you
go?
going to tell us anything?
No. What kind of people have you been dealing with?
Natara.
Well, we had a bounty hunter that talked to us before telling us he was going to kill us, so, you know.
Natara's gonna step out from the jetty. And what makes you think
Smurf.
we're gonna go with you?
I can't believe you just done that.
Oh no!
What
Come
makes
on,
me
girl.
think you'll come with me?
I
Well, if you don't, then we'll make you. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the fifth one? The little one with the funny goggles.
Geronimo, at this point, underneath, okay, has been going over in his mind exactly what he needs to do, and he is going to look at the jetty. Now, in layman's terms,
Mhm.
do you think it's possible that he could set would it be reasonable to him that sort of like something like a firebolt would set a light to the jetty?
No, not to the whole jetty.
Not to the
A
whole
firebolt is too small. A firebolt will illuminate, say, like a lamp or some oil or like something small that can go up quite quickly. That's what
Okay.
would be burnt by a firebolt. A whole jetty, especially one that's down by the sea where it's very, very wet, will just singe and scorch at best.
Got it.
How much gunpowder do you have?
None, sadly. In my gun,
Parliament?
the Geronimo unliving nozzle, unfortunately, will not be making anyone unlive today.
Oh, sad.
Geronimo is going to, after deliberating in his mind what he wanted to do, he's going to mosey his way out from underneath the jetty and go, these goggles are pretty standard in Cogwheel.
Yes. Very standard in Cogwheel. That makes 5 of you. Fantastic. Now, if you would all like to disarm, then we can take you aboard the boat.
I'd rather not.
No.
So we have to force you onto the boat? I don't want to break a sweat.
Well, how about you tell us why we're going on the boat, and not just because you have your orders?
Your
She's not gonna
moron
tell us
friend.
anything.
Your moron friend tried to make me speak before, and I didn't. You're not going to work as well. Can you either get on the boat, or do we have to fight you?
How far away from us are they?
She's like 10 feet from you.
Brandon's going to walk up and then past her towards the other 4, was it?
So you're going to try and go past her?
Yeah, but like hands in the air kind of thing. Like, yeah, sure, fine.
Okay, as you kind of approach and begin to clamber onto the jetty, she goes, no, stay there.
Wait, why? You want us to come with you?
Yes, but I said give up your weapons first.
I don't have any weapons.
Then you can drop your bag and all your stuff. You can disrobe if you like.
You can have my bag, I guess. And he takes off his bag and puts it down.
Yes, dump that in the water, and now you can disrobe.
Wait, dump it in the water? No.
So we're going to have to... Okay.
So why don't you just take it on the boat and then you can keep it away from me? It seems like a waste.
Why would I put it within reach? No, let's get them. And as she says, let's get them.
There
Fuck.
we go.
Right.
I'll bring you over.
Oh no!
Why did everyone have to reveal themselves, for fuck's sake?
I mean, what can I say, dude? People just like to reveal themselves.
It's so weird. It's like one by one walking out. Like, oh, actually.
Like, guys, we either get captured together or we don't get captured at all.
Oh,
Basically.
she's 100% gonna whoop our asses. There's no way we're surviving this. Oh fuck.
That's right. She'll. I don't know what we're doing.
You're going to roll initiatives is what I'm going to need you to roll.
Oh god.
Let's get some initiatives.
Oh, I recognise this place.
Can
Yeah.
I, by any chance, be up on the
Story,
pier?
dude. Can you be up on the pier? No, she didn't let you on the pier. You can be... Hang on, let me make sure I move only one person. You can be there.
Okay, fine.
That's the best. That's the best I can do for you. She didn't let you up there.
Our rolls are
Oh
all
my god!
that one.
This is gonna be an interesting
Oh
combat.
wow.
As we slowly bring down gloomy cave music and we jump back to our combat music. Okay.
I can't wait to get one shot.
Alex is
Can't wait
laughing,
to
not
be
reassuring.
kidnapped.
It shouldn't be one shot. This should be fine. Brandon, it's actually your turn first. You get to act
Yeah.
first. As she turns and says, "Just get them."
Fine. I'm sorry, Durgus and Baron. He's going to run up next to here, and then he's going to cast Thunderwave.
Oh no.
Okay. Show me the detailed stuff for that.
And then that one as well.
That one, wow.
D13 con. What's the range? 15 feet.
Yeah, so that's square. So the three next to me, or the three nearest me.
Is that one not going to do it as well?
So this one, her, and the other one, because it's a cube.
Is it not centered on you?
No, it's not centered on me. Originating from you. Wait, 15 feet? That's confusing.
It's a
Because
15-foot cube. No, so it's a 15-foot cube. So you measure 15 feet out from you.
sorry,
that
that
was all of them. It's all of them,
Huh.
including Baron and Durgus.
Sorry,
No,
it auto gave me that cube, so I thought it was that.
Just delete that cube. That's a silly cube. We don't care about that cube. In which case, all of them plus Baron and Durgus need to do Constitution saving throws.
That was why there was an apology.
So I'm going to need
Uh-oh.
4 for the.
Oh,
That's two fails.
1, 2, 3, 4.
so
1,
much
2, 3,
damage.
4. Those are the cultists done. So Baron, you're going to take 7. Durgus, you're going to take 7. One of the cultists is going to take 7.
Oh, fuck!
The other 3, is it half damage on a save or just nothing?
It is half damage, yeah.
Half. So we round down, so that goes to 3. So that goes to there. That goes to there. I'll do Felia in a second. I'm just going to do all the mobs first. And Felia makes a con saving throw at normal, rolling a 16, so she takes half as well.
Okay, so the one that gets hit, and unfortunately, Brandon and Durgus, Burton and Durgus can move 10 feet away from me.
Okay, so I shall move that one. 1, 2. And that means 1, 2, and that means 1, 2. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brandon, steps forward, kind of clambers up, rushes past Felia, and from Brannon explodes this sudden wave of thunderous energy that blasts out, striking everyone within 15 feet of him. Most of the cultists manage to shield themselves almost with their cloaks and hunker down, as Felia does the same, bringing her arms across her body, softening that impact as much as they can. However, one of the cultists is not quite fast enough and takes the full impact, causing him to stumble back and cry in pain as one of his arms almost seems to wrench painfully. Additionally, Baron and Durgus aren't quite quick enough to stop it either, having not seen Brannon do this before, and they too are knocked back by that impact of the blow. Anything else, Brannon?
No, that's the end of my turn.
Okay, Felia is now going to go.
I thought that would be more effective.
He's dead.
I'm dead.
So,
I'm
from
dead.
her sleeves, Felia throws out her left hand, in which a shaving razor flicks out, and from her other hand, this long, kind of almost like bony sword would slip out from her long dress as well, arming her in both hands. She then turns, swinging at Brandon once, rolling a 10,
You know that doesn't hit.
swings at you twice with the long sword, rolling a 24.
Yeah?
Oh my god!
As she slashes you across the chest for 6 damage.
Oh, fuck.
She then strikes out with the shaving razor for a 22,
Yep. I'm
dealing
down.
4 damage and knocking you down.
Actually,
With
Was-
that,
was
she
it
immediately
non-lethal?
turns, blades either side of her, now dripping with Brannon's blood, as she just snarls, "Who's next?" And she's going to step forward right in front of Geronimo.
Geronimo's going to squeal.
It's now the cultist's turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 goes there. 1, 2. He's going to stop there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the cultists, this one at the back, who took the worst of the impact, is immediately going to grab a hold of Brannon, who is lying on the ground bleeding, and begin reaching into his robes as he takes something out and begins to rub it on Brannon's wounds. The next 3 are going to attack, one against Natara, one against Geronimo, and one against Baron, as they strike out with their daggers, which they draw from inside their cloaks. I'll do it in the order that it happens. That should show me lots of dice. That's enough dice. So, against Natara, that is a 5 to hit.
Nope.
Against Geronimo, that's a 9 to hit. And against
Nope.
Baron, that is an 18 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, so Baron, you take 5 points of damage as the dagger is slashed across one of your arms. But that is their turn. Natara.
Hey. Natara is going to cast Charm Person.
On who?
Felia.
Okay. As a GM, I'd recommend checking those rules because I believe
Oh.
being like in combat kind of breaks a charm person.
Hang on.
So I don't imagine you can cast it on someone who is actively fighting you. But I'd check let me check the wording of it.
You attempt to charm a humanoid you see within range. You must make a wisdom saving throw, and also with advantage if you or companions are fighting it.
Oh, so it has advantage.
Oh, okay.
So so it
Sad.
just says with advantage, so you can still do it, but it has advantage because you're fighting it. Would you like to carry on?
I will try it.
Okay, so it's a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
You're a DC 13 at this level. She only rolled once. Let me roll again. She rolled a 15, I'm afraid.
Oh, Sage.
So as you begin to
It was an
cast your kind of
attempt.
incantation and try and almost summon up these intoxicating spores of friendship, she just shakes her head and snorts at you. Again, nostrils flaring.
Friendship spores.
Well,
Friendship spores attempted.
friendship denied.
It was. Anything else?
No.
Okay, Durgus.
Right, big brain plays. Durgus, with one axe already in hand, is going to draw his other. He's just basically been thrown over Geronimo, this strange electrical crackling, throwing him into the air, which he's now landed and quickly got back to his feet. He is going to attempt to do some snazzy moves, as he's going to run up here, behind this fellow, readying both his axes, as he is going to cry out towards him, "Watch out, you bastard! I'm coming for you behind!" As he casts Hunter's Marks for a bonus action.
On which one, sorry?
On this
That
one
one
here,
there?
using
Okay.
my feature, if that's alright.
Yeah, we're using Natasha's feature, that's fine.
Yep, he's then going to, with an action, whack with his hand axe, if that's alright.
Of course it's.
And am I technically flanking?
You would be flanking it, yes, you have a +2 that way.
Okay. So 16 hit?
18 does, yeah.
Oh, 18, nice. Okay, so I'm going to do some damage. Well, that's 6, so then it's an extra 1d6 and an extra 1d4.
That's exactly right. So total we have 14 damage, and with just a single cleave, the hand axe, you hit down kind of in the side back area where the kidneys roughly are, and there is just a cry of pain as the arms go up, the axe bites through, and the cultist falls to the ground, shrieking and howling as they roll around, blood beginning to pool out underneath them. Very much dead.
Okay, so running, he's going to drag this axe across this man, and then leap forwards with his second, not making any attack, but trying to position himself behind this fellow here, try and sort of prod at him to maybe spur on Baron.
Baron, it is now your turn.
So, just like Durgus knocked back from the thunder wave, Baron is probably trying to fake out some surrender, but seeing Durgus move around, he's going to, in a fit of rage, if you will, is going to strike out towards this guy with a reckless attack. And we'll do the heavy weapons thing as well, because big numbers are funny.
Yeah. So, show me advantage. A 21 minus 5 is 16. 16 still hits, that becomes a 17. Plus, I think you get a +2 for raging.
+2 from rage,
So that's
19.
19. And so I mean, you didn't really need to reckless attack. You got a +2. Well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, single hit. The cultist is turning as if to look towards Durgus as well, and with a great roar, your axe comes round and just smacks straight into the stomach. There is a thump, like someone who's been hit with a baseball bat, and then a gurgle as they begin to spit blood out of their mouth. They hold onto the axe for a moment, and then go very limp as you withdraw the axe in this terrible tear that just leaks innards all over the floor, as another cultist is very much dead.
Dude.
Next.
Yeah, I think that'll be it.
Can I just ask now?
Yes.
If I'm to do a spellcast from here, but I am in melee, if I use a spellcast on a different target that isn't in the same melee with me, I don't get disadvantage, do I?
No, you still have disadvantage. If it is a ranged spell attack, if it's any kind of ranged attack, if you are within melee range of something else, you have disadvantage.
I have
no matter who you're targeting.
Okay. All right. Then Geronimo, as an action, is going to disengage.
Okay.
And I have to do. Is that going up something? That's the rock.
That's a slight ledge, but it's very slight, so you can just step up for 5 feet. Because diagonals kind of count the same. It's not
5
difficult
feet,
terrain.
sorry.
That's just 5 feet.
So I have 15 left. He's going to go there.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's what I've got.
Okay. Brannon, you do not need to make a death saving throw, as your wounds have been tended to.
Ooh.
Belia, seeing Geronimo disengage, not a prideful woman. She is instead going to turn her attentions on Natara and strike out towards the druid with Bam Bam. That is a 21 to hit,
Yeah, that hits.
or 6 damage, and a 23 to hit
Yeah, that hits.
for 10 damage.
I am down.
God.
So in 2 sweeps of the longsword, Natara is also cut down. Felia
Ouch.
simply turns, looks towards Durgus, and steps forward as she swings upwards with her barber's razor. Rolling a 19 to hit,
Scuffed rolls, yeah, it hits.
dealing 4 points of damage. We then go to the cultists. 1, 2, 3, 4. One steps. Oh wait, no, that one's dead. Whoopsie. He's been dead.
Comes back
Just
alive.
those two. Yeah, he comes back alive. No. 1, 2, 3. This one steps forward. So the one at the back here also kneels down and once again starts slapping stuff onto Natara's wounds, whilst the other one steps up the other side of Durgus and tries to stab at him with his dagger. Rolling, those were trash rolls. A 4.
Does not hit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Natara, you do not need to make a death saving throw. Durgus?
Fuck. Right, well, it's that time of week, I guess. Bonus action, shift his Hunter's Mark 2. Now, do we try and take down the cultist, or do we take down the big woman?
I mean, I'm going to use something on her next round. So
Okay, I think if we deal with the cultists, then obviously it's like...
Yeah, no gaming in this
Zero. Fuck
TTRPG.
it. No gaming in this one. I don't want to roll. Bonus action, yeah. Shift his Hunter's Mark towards Mr. Cultist Boy here. So he cries out, peering towards him. He goes, "You're bloody next!" As he raises his hand axe and aims to cleave across him.
One attack.
Oh, fuck my life.
A 7 is not going to hit, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, that's my life finished. It was nice knowing you boys.
Bye, sweet friend.
Yeah, well, I guess that's me.
Baron, you are still angry.
Baron is very angry, and although pretty bloodied, behind gritted, bloody teeth, he would leap forward with the axe, swinging towards Felia.
Go for it.
And
Are you recklessing attacking? Are you doing
Not
anything
this
else?
time,
Just
no.
a standard
Just a
attack.
normal
Okay.
one. For
Well, a 22 will hit for 7 damage.
It'd be for 9 with the rage damage as well.
9 with the rage. I'll make sure to add that in.
Sweet.
Just make sure. Yep, and that's 2 extra points of damage. Okay, so there is a grunt as you swing the axe towards her, and it kind of hits into her side, but as it does so, she almost seems to flex around it, using one arm to push the axe down so that it doesn't really bite into her flesh. You definitely hit her, and she definitely took the impact. but she's still kind of lithe and she's still active and well enough that she was able to deflect the worst of it so that she wasn't actually bitten into by the blade.
Great. And that will be his turn.
Geronimo.
Right, Geronimo is going to take a few steps here. He's going to look around for a little pebble on the ground.
Yep.
And he's going to cast Catapult towards Felia. But I want to note this is non-lethal damage.
Go for it. Okay, it's a dex saving throw on her part, isn't it?
Yeah, I will send exactly what it is. How do I send it again?
You
Just click on the
little
token.
dice.
No, I'll just do that there. That's
Yeah. She rolled a 13, sorry, so she passed. Which against catapult, I think means she just avoids it.
I think so.
Okay, which means at this level, the pebble shoots forward towards Felia. She manages to kind of avoid it as she's adjusting herself around the axe of Barrand, and the pebble cracks into the post on the jetty, shattering some of the wood there, and the pebble skitters off and plops into the water off to one side.
Rats. Okay.
Okay. Brannon is unconscious. Felia is going to turn her attention to Barrand first. She's a smart girl. Barrand, that is a pair of trash. Well, that's one trash roll, one good one, but it is the good one. A 22 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
And 10 damage knocks you down.
Fuck.
As the blade whips round and cracks across your skull, actually with the flat of the blade, knocking you backwards and flat. The fight earlier, atop all of the damage you've taken just now, your brain just kind of, you see a flash of white and you want to get up. You're so angry you want to get up, but no, the body fails you. The white fades to black.
Not angry enough.
Not angry enough, as the blade now whips round for Durgus. A 6 to hit.
That does not hit.
Followed quickly by the razor with a 19 to hit,
That does hit.
dealing 7 points of damage
Okay.
as you are slashed right across the cheek by the shaving razor. As the cultist, is it the mob that brings you down? Tries to stab you with his dagger, rolling a 17,
That fucking... Yes, okay. Right.
dealing
whatever.
2 points of damage.
Oh! I'm still in it, boys. I'm still in it for the count.
I'm still
Oh my
standing.
God.
As we go to your turn.
I'm still standing for the longest time. Right.
That wasn't cringy.
Durgus is, one could say on a scale of 1 to 21, feeling pretty one right now. Taking the hand axe. He is bleeding from his side where he's been slashed and almost gutted by this woman, barely standing. He is going to take the hand axe and heave it up and aim to smack it down on the cultist to his north.
Give it a roll.
I believe in a thing called love, but it doesn't fucking believe in me. Okay, never mind. That's only the first. That's
An
only
8
the
to hit will not hit. No.
Yeah, that was the feint, is what's going on here. That was the feint, he's dodging out the way of it. For the offhand, that's coming in from the side. Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's
deal.
22 a 22 to hit, that'll hit. Roll your damage.
Coming in from the side. With a
5
5
points of damage.
plus a 1d6 plus a 1d4. Why are these rolls? Okay, may as well not have bothered.
8 points of damage is enough to do it. The cultist gurgles as the
God.
other hand axe comes in from the side and catches him in the neck. It kind of tears down the front of his neck and he falls backwards, clutching at the wound, but it's very clearly fatal. The cultists are all dead. It's you, Felia, and Geronimo.
No, wait, there's the other cultist, isn't he?
Don't tell him.
Oh wait, there is another one. I'm the big silly.
Yeah, but he's been
Here's the
rubbing people up.
He has been rubbing people down.
question. Do I run the fuck away and hope she doesn't hit?
No.
No.
You're gonna get hit.
Kill me next turn, okay? Oh fuck, who's even alive still? Oh my god, it's literally just me and
It's
Geronimo.
you, Geronimo, her, and a cultist.
It's either a
Just the
scripted
small
fight.
boys.
It's either
Yeah.
a scripted fight or Alex wants to just end this campaign already.
No, it's scripted for hell, but you know what?
Scripted
Durgus,
fight
Okay.
in my D&D campaign.
Yes.
I've never heard of such an offensive term.
Okay. Durgus, alright, he knows he's not doing the best for wear. He doesn't want to be kidnapped by these cultists, you know, he wants to live another day. So he is going to try and run away to the best of his abilities.
He is going to take that attack of opportunity.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Attack of opportunity.
And she is going to roll a 19
Down he goes.
for 4 damage, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well he's
That
turned
will-
and is gouged by this fucking woman.
Yeah, as he turns, she strikes him across the back of the head with the pommel of the blade, and unconscious Durgus falls down to the ground, splat into the mud. Geronimo, you are the last one left standing.
Jerome's gonna fucking run.
He's gonna fucking run?
He's just gonna run.
50 feet away?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. She has a movement speed that is 10 feet faster than you, so allowing for each round, in 2 rounds, she's in melee range with you.
Oh, okay. Right. There's
If
no
you,
point
if you just keep running, like if you are just gonna run, dash, like move, dash, in 2 turns she catches up with you.
Can I not? Can I move and try and hide in some of the woods, shrubbery, with a stealth check?
Okay, at this distance,
Find a perfectly shaped tree.
like not like 20 feet away with her moving behind
I'm
you.
25. I'm 25.
Yeah, but what I mean is like that's 6 seconds essentially is the difference, and that's only for 1 turn as you go up the bank. Like 2 turns is 12 seconds of running. There is really not far enough you can get before she catches up with you.
Okay. All right.
Where there's somewhere you could reasonably hide away from her.
Just move your distance and catapult her again. I think.
I don't have any spell slots, bro. Come on.
What? What have you done with it?
Just grovel.
Okay. Yeah. Geronimo at this point is going to put his hands up and go. Okay. Yeah. I'll come. I'll come safely. I won't fight anymore.
So you're just giving up?
Yeah. Geronimo's going to give up. He's not a. He's
Okay.
not. He's not going to.
She walks right up to you. Other
Gonna kill you
cultist
for
runs
getting
over
out.
and starts rubbing down Baron and Durgus.
Really?
And Geronimo, with your arms up, she kind of approaches, leans down towards you, almost sniffing as if trying to sense deceit. She places her longsword away, and as she does so, her other hand with the razor snaps up and punches you square in the nose. There is stars that flash before your eyes. And as Geronimo fades to black, we too shall call the session closed here.
Oh my god.
You
Fucking
bastard.
Fugma. Oh, Fugma.
Absolute fog.
You could have done it. I blame Callum entirely.
You bastard.
That is the end of this combat, and that is the end of the session this evening. To those of you who are still with us, thank you for staying with us. We apologize for the technical issues we had again. This time it was a network thing. Those of you who watch the YouTube, this shouldn't affect that at all. We have checked. It seems that all of our recordings are safe and sound. This wasn't a program thing going down. This is just the network being stupid and Twitch hating us. Once again, Twitch, I'm not actually blaming you. Please don't take us down.
I think someone DDoSed me. I'm sad.
Very sad. But once again, thank you. We hope to bring you back next week for the continuation of this campaign, because it is not the end.
We've been
It's not
brutally
a script.
kidnapped.
It's not a scripted fight. Wags finger at players, but it's certainly not a fight that you could have died in. So yes, we will have a session next week where we will continue on from wherever the players wake up from. Okay? Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye.